everyone, and welcome to the VTA Board of Directors regular meeting of Thursday, August 6th. And I'm now calling the meeting to order. I'd like to ask if all of my colleagues could unmute themselves. This will be the only time I ask you to do that today, so that we can do roll call and for each roll call vote this evening. So may I ask the clerk to take the roll?
Blankley, Bruins,
Present.
Carr,
Here.
Carrasco, Cortese,
Here.
Davis, Dieppe,
Here.
Ellenberg, Jones,
Here.
Nis, Liccardo,
Present.
McAllister,
Present.
Miller,
Present.
Nunez,
I'm here.
O'Neill,
Present.
Corrales,
Here.
Rennie,
Here.
Hendricks,
Attending.
Chavez.
Here.
Madam Chair, we have a quorum.
Excellent. I'm now going to ask if you're able, if you could rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, and Bob Nunez will lead us.
Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Bob. We'll now move to 1.3, and this is our orders of the day. The staff requested placing on the regular agenda item 7.4, which is a contract amendment with AECom for the US 101 Zanker Road interchange project to the consent calendar. And staff is requesting that we pull from the agenda closed session item 9.1, which is a conference with real property negotiators. Are there any, are there any changes from my colleagues? I don't see any hands up. All right, seeing none, if there are no changes, I'm going to ask for a motion. We have two folks who've raised their hand, and I do not know if it's on orders of the day. I have one panelist with Glenn. Do you want to make a motion, and then I'll go to the speakers? Glenn?
Sorry, yes, I was going to move that we accept the agenda with the motions that you said.
Great, and we have a second?
Second.
Great, from Bob. And then we'll go to the public speakers on this item.
Teresa Woodmansey, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. Please accept the unmute and begin talking when you're ready.
Oh, all right. Thank you so much. I thought this is public comment, but what is this? Is this public comment?
No, it's orders of the day. Public comments up next.
Okay, orders of the day. Fine. I only have a minute. I'll just tell you. Orders of the day. Fine. The order of the day is to listen to the science. That's what I'm saying to you as leaders. And there's a warning from humanity to say that you better start listening to the science, because what happened in Beirut, Libya, and the upheaval that is coming because their leadership failed them. You guys are failing us because you're not listening to the science. We need to reduce our fossil fuel use 50% in the next 10 years. This is a warning to humanity. This is not a minor issue. We are facing climate emergency as it is right now, and pandemic is part of a climate emergency. And we need to start acting about that. And everything has to be looked at in terms of reducing our fossil fuels. That has to be your modus operandi. And that's what I'm saying as the motion of the day.
So thank you, Tessa. I am going to say to the next two speakers, orders of the day are relating to two items. It's item 7.4 and 9.1. If you're not speaking on item 7.4 or 9.1, I'm going to ask you to wait till public comment. Blair?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. I just wanted to simply thank yourselves for offering public comment on orders of the day. It's a very respectable thing for you to do. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have a motion, we have a second, and I will need a roll call vote.
Carr,
Yes.
Carrasco. Carrasco is absent. Cortese,
Aye.
Dieppe,
Sorry, can I seek clarification? We're not actually voting on 7.4, are we?
no,
No.
right now we're just doing the orders of the day, which
But yes,
puts 7.4 to the consent and removes the closed session item.
aye.
Thank you. Jones,
Aye.
Ricardo,
Aye.
McAllister,
I agree with number 10. Yes.
Nunez,
Yes.
Perales.
Oh,
I will
yes.
Thank
Sorry,
you.
yes.
Rennie,
Yes.
Hendricks,
Yes.
Chavez.
Yes, thank you.
Motion passes.
We do not have any awards or commendations, so we'll now go to public comment. This is to speak on any item that is not on the agenda, but within the purview of the committee. If you're calling in on Caltrain, I'd ask you to wait until that item's being
I hope you
heard.
don't mind me calling you number 10. It is respectful though.
So back to public comment. So if you're calling in to talk about Caltrain, that item will be heard later in the agenda, but this is to speak to any item that is not on the agenda, but within the purview of the committee.
We have several speakers. Mr. LeBrun, I'm going to unmute you. Please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Good evening, directors, and thank you for the opportunity. I would like to start with a huge shout out to the board secretary team for posting the links to the video archives on the meeting portal. We all know how difficult it was to pull this off in these challenging times, and we truly appreciate the results of the work that they did. Thank you. Next item I'd like to touch on is the Measure Rate Transparency Dashboard, which completely disappeared in the migration to the new VTA.org portal. I would like the board to agendize some kind of staff response by the September 18th meeting, when we will have to make some seriously tough decisions if you want to maintain bus, light rail, and Caltrain service during the pandemic. Thank you.
Tessa, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you and go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Thank you so much. You can hear me? Yeah, good. Basically, the thing that separates us as humans is our ability, is foresight, that we have foresight to be able to predict the future and look into the future and make decisions based on the future. So we really need to be looking very seriously about our actions and what we're doing under climate emergency. That you have declared that, okay? So now we have to really start looking at that. And one of the main things that is under your purview is that we need to stop the Bart to Santa Clara. That needs to stop, because we really need to look at how we need to look at things much more local. We need to become hyper local. And that is going to be how we're going to save ourselves. We have to get off of fossil fuels. So that is one of the major things that we have to look at, what we're doing and how we're doing it. We can't be looking only at jobs and economic growth any bit more. Like Greta Thunberg says, how dare you? We can't be looking at economic growth. We have to look at reducing our fossil fuel use.
Thank you. And I'm just gonna remind all of the callers, if you're calling to speak about Caltrain, that is not the item that's on right now. And if you speak now, you won't be speaking under that item. I am gonna close this part of the public hearing. We have 35 speakers, and then we will not take any more speakers on public comment. Tessa, you've already spoken. You've already spoken, Tessa.
That's terrible.
So so actually now we're at 39. We're gonna cap. We're not taking any more public speakers on this item. If you are calling to speak on Caltrain, we'll be hearing that later in the agenda. If you speak on Caltrain now, you will not be speaking on that later in the agenda. Go ahead and call the rest of the public speakers.
Mr. Plantenberg, I'm going to unmute you. Please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Hi, I'm Perry. I go by she, her pronouns. I go to Homestead High School and I'm 16 years old. I live in Sunnyvale in Santa Clara County and I'm here with Turnout for Transit. I'm here because I am terrified. In 2030, the worst effects of climate change will be irreversible. In 2030, I will be 26, a young adult starting to navigate my life in this world. With the increasingly extreme heat, sea level rise, and exacerbated California wildfires due to climate change, I might be living in a nightmare. In Santa Clara County, 40% of greenhouse gas emissions come from transportation, which contribute to climate change. By maintaining transit service now and later increasing service, we can do our best to mitigate these emissions and therefore combat climate change before the worst effects are irreversible. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Connie Cunningham, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. Please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Good evening, VTA Board of Directors. I'm Connie Cunningham. I have lived in Cupertino for 33 years. I'm on the Housing Commission in Cupertino now and a member of Cupertino for All, a group that supports housing, transit, and social justice. I am speaking with Turnout for Transit now. Transit is essential. It is crucial to prioritize it now. As more housing is built, traffic will grow. Transit is the most equitable form of transportation for low-income people, those without cars, and people who cannot drive. Transit has a direct positive effect on air quality. I urge VTA to make every possible effort to avoid service cuts. I urge VTA to consider these things below. Hold a workshop to discuss front-loading Measure B of transit operations funding, and 2, prioritizing Measure B funding away from highway expansion projects toward transit operations. COVID will pass. Ridership will return. Please prioritize transit for the future. Thank you.
Susan Butler Graham, I'm going to unmute you. Please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Hi, I'm Susan Butler Graham, a San Jose mother and grandmother with Mothers Out Front, Silicon Valley. And I've worked for decades with communities of color in San Jose. I know you care about our community. That's why you're here, and I thank you for your service. Many in our community depend on public transit, mostly people of color and people with disabilities, and they cannot afford to lose it. 40% of greenhouse gas emissions come from transportation, so public transit is also an essential part of the climate solution. I ask you to hold a workshop to discuss solutions to save transit. Front load Measure B funding for transit operations. Number 2, shift Measure B funds from highway and expressway expansion to transit. I urge you to do whatever it takes to save public transit. Our kids and grandkids are counting on you to do the right thing for their future. Thank you.
Kevin Ma, you're unmuted. Go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Thank you. Hello, board. I'm Kevin Ma. I'm a tech worker in Palo Alto, and I'm here with Turnout for Transit. As we saw in 2008, when we had another set of VTA budget cuts that led to a decline in bus usage that we haven't even quite reached it during the past few years, that any kind of budget cuts to VTA transit in particular would endanger the system as in general. As such, we know we have to make targets to make our 2030 and 2050 state guidelines for greenhouse gas emissions, and public transit has to be part of the solution. As such, I asked the VTA to consider moving the Measure B transit operation fundings to front load to this year, as well as prioritize funding away from highways, since we can't, too much money has been going to highways and not enough has been to transit. Thank you.
Tahoe Rowe, I'm going to go ahead and mute you, and please speak when you're ready.
My name is Tahoe Rowe. I'm part of Sunrise Silicon Valley. Transit is important to me because before I graduated, I rode transit with my friends and home from club meetings at school. In fact, our school had a thriving student body because VTA was there to bring us home. And if it's not there, it's not going to thrive. And second of all, this ongoing climate crisis makes it clear that we need less cars on the road, not more. We need to prioritize public transit. But besides being a student and a climate activist, I'm concerned for the people who rely on transit every day and for the elderly people who take public transit because they are too old to drive and they're left home by their adult kids, and also for poor communities. I believe that transit is essential, and I urge VTA to make every possible effort to avoid service cuts. This would include discussing a front-loading Measure B to transit operations funding and shifting Measure B funding from highway and expressway expansion projects to transit operations.
Alita Dupree, I'm going to unmute you. Please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Thank you, Chairperson Chavez and members. Alita Dupree, for the record, my pronouns are she and her. I'm going to talk about miscellaneous VTA stuff. First of all, I've been listening to podcasts. I wanted to let you know that I listened to Transit Unplugged and got to listen to 30 minutes of wonderful inspiration from your general manager, Nuria Fernandez. Definitely 30 minutes worth anybody's time. And I think back to my first VTA meeting. It was a joint Bart and VTA meeting. Very, very enjoyable. So Nuria has a tradition of leadership, including the MTA in New York, of great and legendary railroading, of the subway and Grand Central Terminal. So listen to your general manager and take it to heart to build a VTA that is great and legendary. Thank you.
Aaron Eckhouse, go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Hi, my name is Aaron Eckhouse. I'm a regional housing advocate, but also speaking primarily today as an individual who depends on public transit to travel to and within Santa Clara County. I'd like to join everyone from Turnout for Transit in asking you to take urgent measures to save public transit service in Santa Clara County. We're facing an unprecedented budget crisis, and that means we need to do things like front load operations service so that we can get through the pandemic, and shift funding away from highway projects that will entrench fossil fuel dependence and car-centric design, and toward transit service that will move us towards a cleaner and more equitable future. Transit is an essential service for essential workers in Santa Clara County. It is an essential part of our plans to address climate change, and it is an essential part of planning for equitable and sustainable development in Santa Clara County. So please act to save transit service. Thank you.
April, go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Hi.
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Can you hear me? Okay, perfect. Sorry about that. My name is April Webster. I live in Mountain View and I work in South San Jose. I'm speaking on my own behalf as an individual who uses public transit, both in Santa Clara, but then also throughout the Bay. I also want to say that I stand in support of Turnout for Transit. I try to use public transit in the Bay as much as possible. I'm originally from Vancouver, BC, and when I lived there, the vast majority of my transportation needs were met by public transit, both when I was attending school and later when I joined the workforce. I feel it's a more responsible option in terms of its impact on the environment. But I also think it's a healthier way to travel. Time spent on transit is time claimed from traffic that can be spent relaxing, reading, listening to music, chatting with friends. And I really passionately feel that transit is essential, and I hope the VTA will do everything in their power to avoid cutting service, but instead looking to expand both service and frequency. Thank you.
Diacandra, go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, my name is Diacandra. I'm a 16-year-old student of Ann Sobrato High School in Morgan Hill within Santa Clara. I'm also here with Turnout for Transit. I'm someone with seasonal asthma concentrated around the summer and autumn months, and the most challenging instances have been when the throat scorching campfire smoke has drifted into the air like a personal vengeance to how well it can breathe. I know my Californians feel the same, as 2018 campfire smoke was equivalent to breathing in half a pack of cigarettes every day. Moreover, 40% of emissions in Santa Clara County come from primarily cars and trucks. And with wildfires not going away anytime soon, it's essential that we improve our air quality in any way we can. Thankfully, our public transit will run much cleaner as it progresses towards full electrification by 2040 in accordance with state law. So I believe that transit is essential, and I urge VTA to make every possible effort to avoid service cuts and also hold a workshop to discuss solutions. Thank you for your time and consideration.
April, go ahead and speak when you're ready.
I think you already got me. This is my second time around.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ziba, go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Hello, my name is Ziba. I recently graduated from Homestead High School and I'll attend university remotely this fall. I'm 18, I live in Sunnyvale, and I'm here with Turnout for Transit. During middle school and high school, sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, during middle school and high school, I relied on the VTA buses to get to and from school, as well as some after school activities and clubs. In the summer, I used the VTA light rail to get to my job as a restaurant server in San Jose. As a teen, I generally used VTA services for a variety of purposes. And other community members depend on these services to an even greater extent for their livelihoods, as a larger dependence on public transit generally falls on seniors and essential workers. So I believe that transit is essential, and I urge VTA to make every possible effort to avoid service cuts and also hold a workshop to discuss further solutions. Thank you.
Dustin, go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Hi, my name is Dustin Harbour. I live in Santa.
Dustin, I think you muted yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Hi, my name is Dustin Harbour. I live in Santa Clara and I'm here with Turnout for Transit. I volunteered in San Jose with people struggling with addiction, homelessness, and mental health. And many of these members of our community rely heavily on VTA to navigate the county. They have no other transportation options and they can't afford the high costs of car ownership. It's imperative that we save transit so that we can serve our most vulnerable residents. And from an environmental perspective, not only is it vital that we have abundant, well-functioning transit in the Bay Area to meet our climate goals, if we don't save transit, the Bay Area will come to a complete standstill when the economy recovers and this region will be completely unlivable. It's really important that VTA do everything possible to prevent service cuts. And like others have requested tonight, I asked VTA to front load Measure B transit operations funding and shift Measure B funding from highway projects to transit operations. Thank you.
Tim, go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Hi everyone, my name is Tim Menard and I'm a resident of Santa Clara. If transit cuts continue to take place, then the community will not be able to choose it as a method of transportation, further tarnishing transit's reputation as being accessible and reliable. I believe that transit is essential, and I urge VTA to make every possible effort to avoid service cuts. I specifically ask that VTA consider the following. 1, to front load the Measure B transit funding, and 2, to shift Measure B funding from highway and expressway expansion projects to transit operations. Thank you all.
Mr. Beekman, go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Blair?
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. From the initial protests of a few months ago, it feels people of local city government have found themselves in what can be their forward direction. I think there is a City of San Jose housing meeting tonight on how to work with HUD ideas in a now COVID-19 world that deal with homeless issues. The good ideas of mixed income housing are the same pre and post COVID-19. Please don't let conservative fears control agreed upon good mixed income ideas and good public mass transit ideas of positive sustainability that we have always enjoyed, and in some way probably why most of us are a part of the public process. And finally, please consider over the next few months how cutting a few current fares how cutting the current fares in half would offer the concepts of good faith to the public transit, mass transit community, and possibly give good examples of what can be deflationary practices of an economy. Thank you.
Charlotte Quinn, please speak when you're ready.
Hello, my name is Charlotte, and I've lived in Santa Clara County the majority of my life. I live in Mountain View and I work in Santa Clara. I'm really lucky to be working from home right now, but I used to take Caltrain and VTA buses to work every day. This is not a Caltrain specific comment. Please do not cut any transit services. Please prioritize public transit in your next budget and concentrate Measure B spending now on maintaining and expanding public transit services. Cutting transit services will ensure that the horrific injustice exacerbated by this pandemic will continue for a very long time. Expanding highways and roads doesn't improve anybody's mobility. It doesn't reduce traffic or congestion. It just induces demand from other streets. It's not an opinion. That's a fact about how transportation planning works. Robust, frequent public transit does actually reduce traffic and congestion with the added benefit of actually improving people's mobility and making concrete steps towards combating climate change. Cuts to public transportation services, especially buses, are inherently classist. They are inherently racist, and they are inherently ableist. This pandemic will eventually end, but cuts to service are a self-fulfilling prophecy that transit isn't used enough. It needs to be provided more to be used more. Remember, any cuts.
Thank you. I just wanted to do a couple things. One, we've had some new people join us. We're not taking any more folks on public comment. So I want to just alert the staff to that. And the second thing that I wanted to just remind people who are just getting on, if you're calling in about Caltrain, that's an item later on the agenda. This is public comment. I know some people joined us a little late, and I'll let the staff keep calling names. Thank you.
Daphne Clark, please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Hi, my name is Daphne. I'm 16 years old and I go to Homestead High School. And I live in Sunnyvale in Santa Clara County, and I'm here with Turnout for Transit. So personally, I believe that we all have an obligation to make the world a better place for others if we have the opportunity or station to do so. But today, climate change threatens my and my entire generation's future. And it's already affected my family in the form of both a hurricane and a fire. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to live a happy, normal life due to the consequences of today's pollution. So funding our local transit system now will both benefit the community and make a better future for our country and all those who will be living in it. And transit is essential for everyone, and I hope that VTA will make every possible effort to avoid service cuts and also hold a workshop to discuss.
Zoe Volpe, please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, my name is Zoe Volpe. I'm a 22-year-old De Anza College student, and I'm here with Turnout for Transit. I don't have a car, so my family would drive me to and from school every day. De Anza students have access to VTA rides, though, included in our tuition. So after that, I started taking the bus home from class every day instead of having my family members spend 1 to 2 hours in total just to pick me up from school during rush hour traffic. Taking the bus also gave me an incredible sense of independence that I had never had before. After that, I no longer had to rely on other people for transportation, and I started taking the bus and other public transit whenever I could. I do not want to return to a post-pandemic world where I no longer have that independence. And I do not want to see our local leaders make decisions that are detrimental to our students, our low-income neighbors, and to our climate. I believe that transit is essential, and I urge the VTA to make every possible effort to avoid transit cuts, to hold a workshop to discuss solutions, and to reallocate funds away from highways and to public transit. Thank you.
Tiffany Chen, please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Hi, my name is Tiffany. I'm a rising senior at Monte Vista High School, and I'm 17 years old. I live in San Jose, and I'm here with Turnout for Transit. I have a lot of friends who use public transit, and I can no longer sit back and watch global warming and climate change get worse. I believe that transit is essential and urge VTA to make every possible effort to avoid service cuts. We specifically ask that VTA consider solutions to address their budget deficit and hold a workshop to discuss the following solutions. Solution 1, front load the 2016 Measure B transit operations funding. Solution 2, shift the 2016 Measure B funding from highway and expressway expansion projects to transit operations. Thank you for your time and for your consideration.
I'm going to go ahead and call the next three that are coming up so that you know that you will be up. Lindsay first, Darion Lee, and Katie Long. Lindsay, go ahead and speak when you're ready, please.
Lindsay, you need to unmute yourself.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Sorry.
No problem.
Hi. So my name is Lindsay. I'm 19 years old, and I'm a human geography major at the University of British Columbia, but I'm originally from and went to school in Morgan Hill. And today I'm also here with Turnout for Transit. I was privileged enough in high school to have people drive me to school every day, but I know that not everybody has that. Now going to school in Vancouver, where transit fees are included in tuition, and it is a widely used and common form of transportation for people, I'm able to experience firsthand how important it is for public transportation to be accessible for everybody. Our transit system there is a big factor in decreasing transportation emissions in the city and is essential to both the climate and people in our communities. Me and my friends relied on the bus system to get anywhere from work to the grocery store, and I know that it's important for everyone. We specifically ask that VTA consider solutions to address their budget deficit and hold workshops to discuss front-loading the 2016 Measure B transit operations and shift the 2016 Measure B funding from highway and expressway expansion projects to transit operations.
Darion Lee, please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Hello, my name is Darion Lee. I'm an incoming freshman at UC Davis, and I have lived in Sunnyvale my whole life. I'm here with Turnout for Transit. My uncle has severe autism and is unable to drive. He has a part-time job at Safeway through a special program and relies on public transit to get to and from work every day. Without public transit systems, my uncle would be out of work, putting more strain on my retired grandmother and father who have to pay for his expenses. My uncle is just one of the many people who are fully dependent on transit systems. Public transit is necessary in order to reduce effects of climate change and provide people with transportation. I believe that transit is essential, and I urge VTA to make every possible effort to avoid service cuts and also hold a workshop to discuss solutions. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Katie Leong, please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Hi, my name is Katie. I'm 16 years old and I go to Monte Vista High School. I live in Cupertino in the Santa Clara County, and I'm also here with Turnout for Transit. Currently, schools are in a distant learning format, but when quarantine is over and we have to go back to in-person learning, many students will have to take public transit to get to school because it's not convenient enough to walk to school. Without public transit, getting to school will become a large inconvenience for parents, or it'll take a lot of their morning because they'll have to bike or walk a long distance. I believe transit is essential, and I urge the VTA to make efforts to avoid service cuts, specifically to consider these solutions for their budget deficit and hold a workshop to discuss the following solutions: front-loading the 2016 Measure B transit operations funding, or shifting the 2016 Measure B funding from highway and expressway expansion projects to transit operations. Thank you for your time.
Next up, we'll have Kelly Meow, Eliza Floyd, and Adithi. Kelly, please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Kelly, can you
Hi.
unmute yourself? Okay, there you go.
Hi, my name is Kelly. I'm 18 years old and I just graduated from Homestead High School. I live in Sunnyvale in Santa Clara County, and I'm here with Turnout for Transit. For much of high school, I relied on the VTA public transit system to get home from school because I live pretty far from school and my parents weren't able to drive me. I believe that transit is essential and urge VTA to make every possible effort to avoid service cuts, so that other students like me can have an affordable and reliable method of transportation to and from school. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Next up, we have Eliza. Please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Eliza?
Eliza?
You need to unmute yourself.
There you go.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Hi, I'm Elisa Floyd, and I'm a rising freshman at Homestead High School. I live in Sunnyvale in Santa Clara County, and I'm here with Turnout for Transit. In the summer of 2019, I visited the Nordic city of Copenhagen in Denmark. I'm confident that I will never forget the eye-opening experience of using their public transportation system. Its inexpensive fares, cleanliness, and accessibility especially stood out to me. I couldn't help but wonder what I could do to help make a sustainable and efficient public transportation system like this possible where I live. As climate change continues to accelerate and our planet's condition only declines, we need to focus on finding solutions that combat this issue. Prioritizing public transit is a solution, and it is necessary for a cleaner and brighter future for society, or rather for our planet. I believe that transit is essential, and I urge VTA to make every possible effort to avoid service cuts and also hold a workshop to discuss solutions. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Aditi, please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Hello, I am Aditi Sumitran and I go to Homestead High School. I'm 16 years old, I live in Sunnyvale in Santa Clara County, and I'm here with Turnout for Transit. Before coronavirus, I used transit on a weekly basis to get where I need to go from San Jose to my house. I spent roughly an hour in the city and it took me another hour to get back home, which was inefficient but necessary since I didn't have any alternative options to bus travel. As a regular bus user, I will be severely affected by any reductions in the budget, which will make my commute an impossibility. I rely on transit to get me to where I need to go, and I hope I will be able to rely on it in the future. I believe that transit is essential, and I urge VTA to make every possible effort to avoid service cuts and also to hold a workshop to discuss solutions. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Next up, we're going to have Hoi Ann Trong, Sonia Patel, and Sunrise Silicon Valley. Hoi Ann, please go ahead and speak when you're ready. Hoi Ann, are you there?
Please unmute yourself.
There we go.
I am Y.N. Trone with Mothers Out Front and Turnout for Transit. I live in San Jose. I've been a transit rider practically all my life and do not own a car. Service cuts sacrifice those who can least afford it: communities of color, essential workers, seniors, and 80% of VTA riders who have no other means of transportation, including myself. Service cuts can cause up to 60 to 70,000 more people to buy cars and drive which will increase greenhouse gases and traffic. This would be disastrous for our climate goals that could take years to reverse. I urge VTA to make every possible effort to avoid service cuts and hold a workshop to discuss the following solutions. Front load Measure B transit operations funding. Shift the Measure B funding from highway and expressway expansion projects to transit operations. Thank you for your hard work during this crisis.
Sonia Patel, you're up next. Please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Hello, I'm Sonia Patel, a student at Cupertino High School, and I also live in Santa Clara County, and I'm here with Turnout for Transit. I've seen numerous students, as well as other people who depend on transit systems as a safer means of transportation. Along with that, individual car transportation is a large factor to greenhouse gas emissions in Santa Clara County. I worry that our county's future will see the same effects of air pollution as other cities see of smog and increased global temperatures, that we already see the effects of wildfires. We must start thinking about the future instead of utilizing a short-term solution that will cause more problems at the end and shift our focus from highways to public transit. Transit is essential, and I hope for VTA to make every possible effort to avoid service cuts and find new solutions. Thank you for your time.
Gary Ding, you're next. Please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Hi, my name is Gary and I'm 15 years old. I'm a rising sophomore at the Harper School and I live in San Jose in the county of Santa Clara. Today I'm here with Turnout for Transit. When my grandparents still lived in the United States, they relied on the VTA transit system to come visit me and my sister every weekend. Without these buses, our family would be largely separated as my parents are busy and my grandparents are too old to drive. Many members of our city who are often overlooked rely on the system to move about, and when the funds run out, they will definitely become stranded. I urge the VTA to make every possible effort to avoid service cuts. I specifically ask that the VTA consider some solutions to address the budget deficit and hold a workshop to discuss the following solutions. Number one, front load the 2016 Measure B transit operations funding. And number two, shift the 2016 Measure B funding away from highway and expressway expansion projects to transit solutions. Thank you so much for your time and consideration.
Next up, we have Radiki Gol, Adina, and Ari Feinsmith. Radiki, please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Hi, my name is Radhika Goyal. I'm 15 years old. I live in Sunnyvale, and I'm here with Turnout for Transit. Climate change's effects in countries such as India, where my family's from, they keep me up at night. Air pollution is the reason behind the influx of cancer, premature deaths, and cardiovascular and respiratory diseases that claim millions of lives each year. A close loved one of mine, my grandma, has asthma because of growing up there, and I can't do anything to help her. What I can do to help is to prevent my city from turning into India. And the way to do that is to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, which is why transit services are so imperative. Service cuts will only increase gas emissions, which is not something our environment or our residents will be able to endure. For those thousands of students, seniors, low-income citizens, and all other people who depend on VTA's buses.
Adina, please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Terrific. Good evening, board members. Adina Levin with Friends of Caltrain and the Trans Bay Coalition here to support the Turnout for Transit campaign, urging you to look for solutions to avoid cuts to VTA service, holding a workshop considering options, including front-loading Measure B, repurposing highway and expressway funding, and opportunities to save costs on the Bart to Silicon Valley project. We are working in coalition with other organizations, putting on an emergency town hall forum, supporting federal funding for public transit, which is also an important piece of the solution to keep transit running. As we are starting to see, as with wildfire season starting, we need to do everything we can to cut climate emissions. And while some of the highway and expressway projects that made sense in the 90s do not make sense given the wildfires and other signs of climate change that are impacting us now. With our Partners for Voices for Public Transportation, we've been doing some research showing the importance of keeping service in maintaining public transit ridership. Thank you.
Ari Feinsmith, go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Hello, my name is Ari Feinsmith and I've lived in Sunnyvale all my life. I represent myself and I've growing up, I never really used transit or bus that much. I went to Fremont High School and my mom drove me, but after graduating, I decided to go to Mission College, and since I don't have a car, I've been biking, and I recently discovered the bus this year. The bus and light rail system has been really helpful for me. It's great, given me great freedom, and I've really actually enjoyed this freedom, and the bus service and the light rail service has gotten me places so I don't have to rely on my parents. With that said, I'd like to ask that the VTA does not cut funding for the public transit. Thank you.
Next up, we have Tara Lynn Kang, Justin Lee, and Daniel, who, Tara Lynn, go ahead and speak when you're ready, please.
Hello, my name is Tara Lynn Kang. I am 16 years old and I'm a junior at Monte Vista High School. I live in Cupertino in Santa Clara County and I'm here with Turnout for Transit. Climate change has always lurked in the back of my mind. I grew up hearing about recycling, why gas cars are harmful for the environment, and how the world would one day reach the point where it could take no more. Having this reinforced in my mind has made me very aware of how individual actions impact our local bubble and how larger actions on public and community scales hold important sway in the fight against climate change. If public transit dies, we will be allowing our community to fall into a problem because fewer opportunities for mass transit mean that more people will rely on individual cars. More cars means more greenhouse gases and hence greater danger of accelerated climate change. I believe that transit is essential and I urge VTA to make every possible effort to avoid service cuts and also hold a workshop to discuss solutions. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Justin Lee, go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Hello, VTA board. My name is Justin Lee, and I am a resident of Cupertino, a recent graduate of Cupertino High School, as well as a member of Cupertino for All. I am speaking here for Turnout for Transit. I rode VTA bus down Stevens Creek from my high school to my community college 4 days a week last semester to take classes over there as a high school student. And there are many, many others who depend on transit for their schooling. Without transit, we cannot construct the much needed affordable housing in our county since we can't fit the large influx of cars. We're moving down a path of becoming more and more exclusionary of the students and the low-income workers that build the basis of our county. Therefore, I really would like to urge VTA to make every possible efforts to avoid service cuts. I want to ask VTA to consider either front-loading Measure B transit operations funding or shifting Measure B funding away from highway and expressway expansion projects.
Daniel Hun, please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Hello, my name is Daniel Hun. I'm from Santa Clara. I'm a student at SASU. Transit is essential. I took the bus to get to and from school and to and from my internship. We need it to reduce congestion, to ensure our poor, elderly, and disabled can go from place to place, to help workers seek new opportunities and keep their current job, and to combat the climate crisis. VTA must make every possible effort to avoid bus service cuts, and this is perfectly possible. We specifically asked VTA to consider solutions to address their budget deficit and hold a workshop to discuss the following options more in depth with the public. Solution 1, front load the 2016 Measure B transit operations funding. Solution 2, shift the 2016 Measure B funding to transit operations from highway and expressway expansion projects that do little to no good, considering less people are driving with the virus ongoing and because many of them have sold their vehicles to pay rent. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Next up, we have Annabelle, Vanessa, and Milan Hoong. Annabelle, please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Annabelle, you're on mute.
Sorry. Oh.
There you go.
Okay. There we go. Hi, my name is Annabelle Law. I'm a freshman at De Anza College and resident of Sunnyvale for the past 16 years. Today, I'm here with Turnout for Transit. I think my future is at stake, and so are the future of all the youth and adults here today. Although we're here investing our time, money, and energy into our futures right now with higher education, jobs, houses, and more, we're not doing enough to combat the threat that is climate change. And one of the first steps is to reducing our greenhouse gas emissions from the transportation sector. Moreover, all walks of life depend on the VTA's affordable transportation services, especially our students, people with disabilities, low-income families, and many more. Less funding for operations will result in the permanent end of the service that is essential to sustaining the livelihoods and curbing climate change in our community. So I urge the VTA to make every possible effort to avoid service cuts and to also hold a workshop to discuss solutions. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Vanessa, please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Good evening, my name is Vanessa. I'm a recent graduate of Santa Clara University, and I'm here today with Turnout for Transit. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak today. While an out-of-state student without access to a personal vehicle, I benefited from VTA buses and other transit options in Santa Clara County. I currently have the privilege of working from home, but my ability to do so depends on the essential workers who utilize transit to keep our society afloat. I believe that transit is necessary, especially as we must prioritize social equity and climate action. I urge VTA to make every possible effort to avoid service cuts and prioritize extensive community outreach when making decisions. Thank you for your time and service to the community.
Milan Ho Ong, please go ahead and speak when you're ready. It says that allow to speak is not available for Milan because she's using an older version of Zoom.
Thank you. Sorry about that, Milan.
Next up, we have Scott Mace, Liv Dew, and Eugene Bradley. Scott, go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Yes, my name is Scott Mace. I live in San Jose. I think what all of these speakers are trying to tell you is that passing the climate emergency resolution, despite the intervening crisis of the pandemic, is going to be something you're going to be living with for a lot longer. And you need to think very carefully about whether we're going to end up leaving this valley with a very, very car dependent future, which, whether it's electric cars or self-driving cars or any kind of cars, could produce greater amounts of greenhouse gases. And so please, please consider saving what you have of the VTA public transit infrastructure by moving money from the highway budget to the public transit budget. Thank you.
Liv Doe, I'm going to go ahead and mute you. Please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Hello, my name is Liv Doe. I am a member of the Sunrise Movement Silicon Valley Hub. Public transit is vital in our community. Not only do essential workers and low-income citizens use these services, many rely on them heavily. By reducing funds, these people will be without transportation, which could put jobs and lives in danger. Also, a lack of public transit will force a lot of people to purchase vehicles. This will only cause an increase in traffic and will worsen the state of our climate. Our climate is already very vulnerable, and we must do what we can to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. This includes increasing public transit so that less vehicles will be on the road. VTA board members, public transit is much needed in our community. Service cuts will affect us greatly, and I ask you to please prevent them to save our climate and citizens. Thank you.
Eugene Bradley, please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Evening, board members. My name is Eugene Bradley. I'm the founder and CEO of the Silicon Valley Transit Users. It's a public transit advocacy and watchdog group that's independent of a lot of people. We're working with Turnout for Transit to urge you to prioritize putting operations funding that's part of the 2016 Measure B funding and transfer it from highways to transit operations, which are desperately needed. I've never heard from staff about one highway project here or anywhere that has ever relieved traffic gridlock after it was built. Perfect example of that, Palo Alto's 2 diamond lanes. Over $1 billion later, it's back to gridlock again. This was before COVID. For far too long, I've been doing this transit advocacy since 2000. For far too long, I've seen nothing but just overall losses. The public transit system right now here is back to what it was in the early 1980s. If you can have money to prioritize BART, you got money to prioritize transit here, buses and trains.
Next up, we have Vivian, Helen, and then Cynthia. Vivian, go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Hi, my name is Vivian. I'm a recent graduate of Valley Christian High Schools in San Jose, and I'm also a member of Silicon Valley Democratic Socialists of America. I'm here with Turnout for Transit to urge you to consider people like myself and my peers who often are too young to drive or reliant on other people giving them transportation, who have, discovered this awesome service that VTA provides to all members of the Bay Area community. I really urge you not to cut service. This will only hurt people who are most vulnerable, and I urge you to shift Measure B funding from highway and expressway expansion projects to transit operations. Highways are not the way to go. highways increase fossil fuel emissions, highways accelerate the climate crisis that we're already in. And I really urge you to take into account the other solutions that people have proposed today, including front-loading Measure B and holding a workshop to discuss further solutions and integrate the community in steps forward. I yield the rest of my time. Thank you.
Helen Dang, please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Hi, my name is Helen Dang. I'm 16 years old and I live in San Jose and I'm with Sunrise, Silicon Valley. Transit is super important to me because I'm a public transit user and envision a world where everyone can rely on public transit instead of cars. Additionally, in the time of the climate crisis, we can't keep letting our society continue to spiral towards a fossil fuel covered future. We should decrease traffic, increase air quality, increase accessibility for lower income and marginalized folks, and save public transit in Santa Clara County. Transit is essential, and I urge VTA to make every possible effort to avoid service cuts. Facing the budget crisis too, please hold a workshop to discuss solutions such as front-loading Measure B funding and shifting funding from highway expansion to public transit operations instead. Thank you for your time.
Thank
Cynthia.
you. Hold on. Before we go to our next speaker, I just wanted to let my colleagues know that initially I was going to stop the comments at 32 because when we took the second person, I was just going to close the public comment, in part because I made an assumption that a number of these speakers were going to be speaking on Caltrain. That's not been the case. What I would like to do is that right now the last speaker is Danica Kubota, and I'm going to ask the staff not to allow any more speakers at this time. And what I mean by that is literally not to allow them to get queued up. That way we're not surprising people, and people who join late don't expect to speak that aren't going to be able to speak. So Danica will be the last speaker, but don't allow any more folks to join up. That will have us over almost 60 speakers, I think. So I want to thank the speakers for sticking with their time and allowing us to have the opportunity to manage the meeting, as we have a number of other items on our agenda. Thank you.
Cynthia, please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Hello, my name is Cynthia Maciel. I'm 16 years old and I'm an incoming junior at Sobrato High School. I live in Morgan Hill in the county of Santa Clara, and I'm here with Turnout for Transit. I personally have witnessed the dependency my friends and peers have for public transit. Without the proper funding, members of my community would not be able to arrive at their destinations. These cutbacks will also directly affect low-income families, as they do not have the proper financial resources to buy or service a car, which means they rely heavily on VTA transit systems. Seeing as how these service cuts will impact various populations, I offer the solution of shifting the 2016 Measure B funding to transit operations from highway and expressway expansion projects. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Next up, we have Lisette, Neil, and phone ending in 7516. Lisette, please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Are you muted?
Lisette, you're muted. Okay, we'll move on. Oh, she's dropped off. Okay, next we have Neil. Please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Hi, I'm ready. My name's Neil. I'm a Cupertino resident. I just graduated from UC Berkeley. I moved back to the South Bay because it's what I consider home. I'm also the chair of Cupertino for All, and I work at Working Partnerships, but today I'm just speaking for myself only. I didn't get my license till I was 21. I have an anxiety disorder, and so I was really scared to drive. And so I really grew up relying on alternative forms of transportation, even taking lines that maybe had like one or two people on them, but it was still essential to my existence. And today, my car broke down as in recently, and I don't actually plan on replacing it. I want to rely on transit, but in order to do that, we have to make sure that it's reliable. And I worry that if we don't explore other options besides cutting service, we should explore looking at Measure B again, front-loading funds, et cetera, then I really do worry that we might not get that ridership back. People are going to go and they're going to buy cars. Thank you.
Telephone ending in 7516, please go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can. Okay, good. My name is Gary Martin. I represent the Sunnyvale Clients Collaborative Association of Homeless who stay at the County Emergency Shelter in Sunnyvale. We note that effective the 10th, line 523 will have weekend service terminated. This is very bad for us because it's a lifeline for the folks at the homeless shelter who need to get out of that area, either to the Lockheed Transit Center or to the El Camino. We have elderly, families with children, mobility challenge, folks who can't walk. And in order to get to the light rail or to another bus line, they'd have to walk more than a mile. We need some kind of service on the weekends. Either midday service reduction would be fine, but we need service in the morning and the evening. And I urge you to reconsider that termination, provide some kind of service for us. The line 26 goes into Okay, thank you very much. Okay, bye-bye.
Next up, we have Leah. Please go ahead and speak when you're ready. I'm sorry, they don't have the available Zoom for that. Joseph, please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
It looks like you're muted, Joseph. We still can't hear you, Joseph.
Okay, we'll move on to Cece. Please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Hello, I'm Cece, a rising junior from Saratoga High School. I'm 15 years old and I live in Saratoga in Santa Clara County, and I'm here with Turnout for Transit. So every year during New Year's Eve, my grandma, who is 78 years old and lives in Mountain View, will use VTA public transit to visit my family here in Saratoga. Public transit is for some elders, students, and people who live in less privileged communities the only way for them to go to places they couldn't reach by walking. My grandma will not be celebrating New Year with us without the VTA public transit. I couldn't imagine Santa Clara County without sufficient public transit because I know that it will create burdens for many households that depend on it, including my family. I believe that transit is essential, and I urge VTA to make every possible effort to avoid service cuts and also hold a workshop to discuss solutions. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Next, we have Kristen. Please go ahead and speak.
Hi, my name is Kristen Suko, and I'm a resident of San Jose, California. I want to urge you guys in the wake of all this, this time where it's very clear that we have a lot of racial inequity, that we don't take away any services that could negatively affect any groups that are systematically oppressed or, or low income, or that depend on public transportation for their livelihoods, to get to work, to get to school, and all of those things. I believe that transit is essential, and I urge VTA to make every possible effort to avoid service cuts. You could do things like front loading Measure B, and also shifting funds away from highway and expressway expansion projects to transit operations. So I very much hope that
Thank you very much.
Monica, go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Hi, my name is Monica Mallon, and I'm part of Turnout for Transit. I'm a lifelong transit rider, and I've never owned a car in my life. Having access to transit has made it possible for me to get around in a sustainable way, access opportunities, and save about $8,000 per year. Transit is essential now, and it will be even more essential after the pandemic is over and people are trying to get back to work. So like most of the other speakers, I want to encourage you to make every possible effort to avoid service cuts, including looking at Measure B, potentially front-loading some of the operations money or changing it to prioritize transit. And I want to encourage you to discuss these options at a workshop. We're here today and we're being proactive about this because I don't think that we can rely on the federal government and outside forces to save transit. We need to save transit for ourselves here locally, and we hope that you'll help us do that. Thank you.
Danica is our last speaker. Please go ahead and speak when you're ready. She does not have the right Zoom.
Okay. Thank you very much to all the speakers who spoke. This is the vice chair. The chair had to step away for a few moments. So we all appreciate the comments that you've made to us during this part. We're going to move on to our next order of business, public hearings. Item 4.1 is a resolution of necessity for two properties for the Eastridge to Bart Regional Connector Capital Expressway Light Rail Project. Ron Golem will present this item. Ron will present a presentation for each property, and then I'll open up the hearing to the public. The property owners or their representatives will have 5 minutes to speak. Members of the public who would like to address the board on this item of resolution of necessity will be given 1 minute. Ron, are you ready?
I am ready. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the board. If we could have the slide presentation, thank you. If we have the first slide. So before we get started, I just would like to point out for the benefit of all, we are cutting the board tonight on two properties for the Eastridge to Bart Regional Connector, the light rail extension in East San Jose. These are regarding two properties where we have been in negotiations, and we've gotten to the point where in order to keep the project on schedule, we are asking the board for a resolution of necessity. Let me point out a couple of key points before we get into the discussion. The first is that there are certain requirements for property acquisition that should be kept in mind. The first is that the public interest and necessity require the project, and we must demonstrate that this is the case. The project must be planned or located to be most compatible with the greatest public good and least private injury. The property in the resolution of necessity is necessary for the project, and an offer of just compensation has been made. And to expand on that, all of this work was addressed in the environmental planning and the design work since then. We've gone through a process of appraisal, review appraisal. We've been negotiating with the owners. We've made offers to help them fund an appraiser, and we are at our present situation. For this particular meeting, I would note for the board that it has full discretion as to whether or not to adopt the recommended resolution of necessity. The amount of compensation is not a consideration in this hearing, and that the board must provide or must make each of the findings contained in the respective resolution of necessity prior to its adoption. And if I could have the next slide. This map shows the light rail extension, and you can see we've identified the two properties I'll be discussing. One property is 2690 Story Road. It's a property that is occupied by an AutoZone store. The other property at 461 South Capitol is at the intersection of Capitol Expressway and Capitol Avenue. It's a small retail strip center with multiple tenants. If I can have the next slide. Okay, so the first property is the Don's Investment Company. And what the visual shows you is the required interest that VTA has. What you see in yellow is a roadway easement that we need in the area about 1,753 square feet. You see in blue a temporary construction easement during the period of construction for a little over 3,900 square feet, and then also includes a public utility easement for about 680 square feet. And the nature for this work is because of the light rail viaduct, there's a need to reconfigure the intersection. As you can see, there are two driveway entrances to the center. The one that has the temporary construction easement will be maintained in operation during the construction period. If we could go to the next page, please. The owner of the property is Don's Investment and Development Company. Property is 75,000 square feet. It has the interest I mentioned. We had made an offer in April, and since then we've been negotiating. We've had positive negotiations, and the owner's been working with us. Right now, the issues are the owner is unclear whether or not their bank lender will be able to provide them with the authority they feel they need to proceed with the acquisition. And so a resolution of necessity is a way of short-circuiting bank bureaucracy and other challenges there. And so that concludes my presentation of this property. I'd be happy to answer any questions about this property before I move on to the next property.
Thank you. Thanks, Ron. I'm now going to formally open the public hearing. Is there anyone here who would like to address the board for property ID EBRC 1205 owned by Don's Investment and Development Company? I'm going to ask the staff if they know if there's the applicant is here. Is that Michelle Oblena?
Yes.
Madam Chair, that's a member of our staff. I wanted to check if phone number ending in 0773 is a representative of the property owner or the property owner. They lower their hand.
Okay.
So we don't have any more hands raised, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm going to ask, we have one speaker or one request, one hand up, I'm sorry, from our panel. Do you want to go ahead, John, and ask a question?
I was just going to, when are you going to do both properties and then take comments?
Yes, that's what I would like to do, if that's okay.
Okay, thank you. I do have a comment.
Great, thanks. Ron, do you mind?
Sure, I'm happy to.
Thank you.
Go on to the next property then. Next slide. So the second property, 2690 Story Road, this is at the intersection of Story and Capitol Expressway. What you see is an AutoZone auto parts store. This is the location of one of the two new stations. And so the property needs here are actually to provide a way to get from the station, which is in the viaduct above Capitol Expressway, in the middle of it, over to the street and then down to street level. And so what you see shown is the need for us to acquire on a permanent basis a fee interest of approximately 1,600 square feet. That's the reddish, pinkish area. And then for construction purposes, we need to acquire an area of about 2,258 square feet for the construction period. Again, this property has two driveway entrances. We will maintain access to both driveways during construction. We have been having productive negotiations. We believe we are close to a verbal settlement. It may even come as soon as tomorrow. However, when we have a verbal settlement, we still ask for a resolution necessity in case we cannot reach agreement on the wording of the agreement so that we still have the ability to proceed with the acquisition. On the next slide, you'll see a summary of the property. It's owned by AutoZone West LLC. With the auto store, property is about 31,000 square feet with the interest identified. And our offer to them, the initial offer, was made on March 13th. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions about either one of these properties.
Great. Before I do that, is there anyone here who would like to address the board from property ID EBRC 1216 owned by AutoZone West LLC?
Madam Chair, this is Elaine. We do not have any hands raised.
Thank you. Now, are there questions from my colleagues on either property? I'll start with Mr. McAllister.
I had a comment. So did you want the comments?
Yes, comments, questions, all of it, all at once.
Okay, well, thank you. This should come as no surprise, but I will not be supporting a motion to pass for 4.1, the item. With the COVID-19, it demonstrates that there is a huge amount of uncertainty that's going to come out, and we have no idea the financial position that VTA is going to be in. And to take on this huge debt with the uncertainty of the outcome needs to be considered. Just recently, the G&A committee earlier tonight, they voted to approve that any recommendation board adopt requiring the projected long-term operating cost impacts of projects and or programs contained in the future shall be provided to the board. This existed at the time that light rail came about or subsequently to it, there would have been a great discussion of what was going on. And so that's why it's important. Still, we have an opportunity to step back and review the opportunities. We still haven't addressed the alternatives that are possible that could potentially save us money. I know that San Jose, led by the Vice Mayor, Chappie Jones, is working with Cupertino on different options along Stevens Creek. Potentially that could be an alternative that would be much more reasonable in the long term, much more sustainable in the long term. On one of the items under 4.1.A, need for project, it says travelers on the roadway network experience excessive delays currently and expect delays on the tropical days to increase in the absence of proposed improvements. We all read the EIR, which said that there will be 1,700 people a day, but congestion will continue to be on the expressway. And so this is a little misleading. And then they also say this will have the highest rider projections compared to what? The BRT, we already have a bus rapid transit, and that this will, and under section 4, it says the greatest congestion relief. Again, we look at our own EIR saying congestion will get worse. So please take the time to consider that this light rail project can be resolved, retuned, rethought, and money better spent. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Carr?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ron, quick question. How many properties are we going to need to acquire for this project?
So currently the planned acquisitions are approximately 18 properties. At this point, we have settled and reached agreement on the lower half of them. As you may recall, there are other RONs the board previously authorized, and so we're in the process of working through those. And so by the time we're completed, we will have 18 acquisitions in total. 18 acquisitions, and you've reached agreement on 9 of them. You've brought a handful of others to us, and you expect to bring more? I think at this point, maybe we have one more, maybe we have none. So I think, again, this is a project on the expedited schedule, and so we've been really trying to acquire this expeditiously. So I would say we're kind of in the second half of wrapping up our acquisitions. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Liccardo?
Forgive me, I had a challenge unmuting. Just a question for Nuria or whoever might be able to answer it. I know that we are looking at alternative technologies throughout the system for an alternative potentially to light rail. And is it fair to say that, let's say we found a rubber tire solution that would, again, cover the entire light rail system, that we would still need this property take essentially to be able to provide access for pedestrians to be able to get to that that entrance point over Capitol?
Thank you very much for your question, Mayor Liccardo, and you're absolutely correct. The property acquisition that has been brought to you over the past several years regarding this project all have to do with the project alignment and then any additional property we need for construction staging. So in essence, regardless of the technology, the alignment will be the same. That's the way that we're going to be connecting to the end of the line that exists today and bring the whatever system it is all the way to Eastridge, which would be the new end of the line.
Thank you.
Rob?
Am I up? You sort of broke it. Okay. I just want to say that, I do share John's reservations about it's an expensive project. It's forecasted ridership's going to put fare box recovery probably in the 10% range, maybe a little more if we're lucky. This is going to put a burden on our operating costs, which we're already challenged with. But I also think, or I'm hopeful that we can go towards some alternative technology, which the mayor just referred to. But I continue to vote, for things for this project. Now that the board's decided it's going forward, and as the general manager just said, this property would be needed anyway, regardless of whether we went to a new technology. So I don't want to vote no on things that are going to add cost to the project. It's already a costly project. So just in explaining my vote on why I will vote for this, I do have my reservations about the cost of the project, and I'm hoping there'll be end up with a new technology, but I don't want to also stop things that help us keep the cost down, or if we do stop it, it'll increase costs. So I just wanted to explain my vote here.
Thank you, Rob. Bob?
And
Probably along those same lines. That's why I will be voting yes. It's difficult for me to get this far down the path and then say, let's take some time to rethink it. I think we have made a decision some time ago, new technology or not. This is the direction that we decided. I'm trusting the general manager has looked at this and it's still the best way for us to deliver the services. And so I will be voting yes, so that we can provide the services to that community. I don't see the purchase of this land as a reason to stop. If we find new technology, great, but if not, let's just continue down this path. So that's the reason I'll be voting yes.
Thank you. I will now go to Glenn Hendricks.
I'm ready to make a motion either before or after the public hearing is held.
Thank you. I have no public speakers on this item, so go ahead and make your motion now.
Okay. I move that we close the hearing and adopt the resolution of necessity of these two properties, EBRC 1205 and EBRC 1216, as noted on the screen.
Cortese, second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. We do have one public speaker, and we'll take that public speaker before we vote.
What? Roland, I'm going to unmute you. Please go ahead and speak.
Thank you, and this is very brief. I brought this up in committee. There is a rubber-tired solution that will be unveiled at CES in Las Vegas in January. I suggest you look at this. The cost will be a fraction of what you're looking at here. It'll be probably in the 50 to 60 million dollar range. But the other thing that that technology would allow you to do, because it's using tunnels instead of viaducts, is that you would not be losing any lanes on Capitol Expressway. You would not be causing additional congestion on Capitol Expressway. So just put that out there for your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. And I do want to ask the maker of the motion if you would mind, Glenn, can you read the two numbers into the record of the properties? And I just want to remind my colleagues, this is a 2/3 vote or 8 members.
Okay, so I thought I had said them, but it's EBRC 1205, APN number 484-45-116, owned by Don's Investment and Development, and EBRC 1216, APN 486-43-106, owned by AutoZone West LLC. Is that what you were looking for?
Yes, I think that's right. Thank you very much. And Elaine, I'm going to ask if you could do a roll call vote.
Okay,
oh, sorry, Larry, did you want to speak on this item?
If I could briefly, Madam Chair, thank you. Now that there's a motion, I wanted to comment on the motion. We know that the board supports that this is an area in the county that we need to provide better service to and do something about traffic congestion. We also know that the board has said that our current light rail technology is not really what we want to do out there. And we've committed to looking at other things. I'm not going to be supporting the motion tonight because I'm a little afraid that we've been taking these properties in drips and drabs. And so looking at the impact in entirety is difficult to do. And right now, as we talk about resolutions of necessity and possibly eminent domain on properties, we're affecting people's properties and their businesses at a time when we don't exactly know what we're going to be doing during some other very difficult times that people have. And I don't really want to cause that kind of harm to people until we actually know what we're going to be doing. So I'm going to be voting against the motion tonight. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Any other comments? All right, I'm going to ask for a roll call vote.
Okay, this is for item 4.1, resolution of necessity for the Eastridge to Bart Regional Connector Project. Carr?
No.
Carrasco?
Aye.
Cortese?
Aye.
Dieppe?
Aye.
Jones?
Aye.
Member Jones, I did not hear you.
Aye.
Thank you. Ricardo,
Aye.
McAllister,
No.
Nunez,
Aye.
Morales,
Aye.
Rennie,
Aye.
Hendricks,
Yes.
Chavez.
Yes.
Motion passed with 10 ayes, 2 no votes from board members Carr and McAllister.
Thank you. And I just one point I would like to make to my colleagues is that the comment that Mr. Carr just made reminded me that we do have a policy advisory board that meets on this subject, so it doesn't feel like dribs and drabs to us. But what I would like to ask the staff is if any member of the board is interested in getting a briefing, if the staff would be willing to do that based on the body of work already being done in preparation for the policy advisory board. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you. Item 4.2 is a hearing notice of intention to adopt a resolution of necessity.
Great, Madam Chair, I'll introduce this item and then turn it over to my colleague, Brian Fitzpatrick, who is Director of Real Estate and Development for Caltrain. Just to explain this item, this is for the Caltrain electrification project. Caltrain does not have eminent domain authority in Santa Clara County. So VTA and Caltrain have a cooperative agreement whereby we provide assistance to Caltrain on its acquisitions when needed, and Caltrain in turn pays the cost that VTA incurs. And so with that introduction, I'd like to turn over to Brian Fitzpatrick.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the board. Brian Fitzpatrick, Director of Real Estate and Property Development for Caltrain. Just as Ron had mentioned before, in your resolution of necessity, you're going to make 4 findings. The discussion of compensation is not a part of what we're talking about, just the necessity for the project, the 4 findings shown here. Next slide, please. Again, these are the same things that Ron had spoke about previously. Next slide, please. So the project, the property that we are talking about is the PG&E Corporation Yard located just south of Lenzen Avenue in San Jose and just a bit north of our Darion station in San Jose, where I think most people know. Next slide, please. The map you see is showing the property that we expect to acquire from PG&E. Very simply put, when Caltrain is putting catenary poles in for the electrification project, in order to meet necessary clearances, we sometimes need a little bit of extra property. We're purchasing about 60 properties. We're putting in north of 3,000 poles. So you can see it's a very rare occurrence. When we do buy property, we try to minimize it. In this instance, we're buying approximately 5-foot strip of property from PG&E and also the right to trim trees. We call that an electrical safety zone easement from another portion of the property. Next slide, please. The details of the site are shown here. There's just one other thing that I'd like to say before I ask for any questions, which is we've worked cooperatively with PG&E. I don't expect you'll be hearing from them in this hearing, and we expect to file what we would call a friendly condemnation to allow us to work together to effectuate a transfer of the property. But PG&E is supportive of the project. We're actually working on their property right now, putting up a fence to allow us to install poles in this property for the project at a later date. If there are any questions, I'll be glad to answer them for you.
Thank you very much, Brian. I will now formally open the public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to address the board for property ID JPB SC4 0090 owned by Pacific Gas and Electric Company?
There are no public speakers.
Thank you. Are there any questions from my colleagues? Glenn?
I'm ready to make a motion if you're ready.
I'm ready if we have no questions from colleagues.
I move that we close the hearing and adopt the resolution of necessity for the property for the Joint Powers Board JPB Peninsula Corridor Electrification Project PCEB as noted on the screen, which is JPB-SC4-0090 APN 259-26-019 259-020-023 and 259-27-027 owned by Pacific Gas and Electric Company.
Thank you. Could you repeat the motion? So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
No.
Second.
I'm sorry, Bob was the second. Thank you.
Yeah.
We had a motion from Glenn and a second from Bob. And is there any other discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'd like a roll call vote, please.
R,
Yes.
Carrasco,
Aye.
Cortese,
Aye.
Dieppe,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Liccardo,
Yes.
McAllister,
Yes.
Nunez,
Yes.
Perales,
Aye.
Rennie,
Yes.
Hendricks,
Yes.
Chavez.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimously.
Thank you very much. And I'll thank staff for all that work and good luck in your negotiations and the rest of your work. We'll now move on to item 5.1, and this is committee reports. And I think Vignesh is going to be speaking for the Citizens Advisory Committee. He is the vice chairperson, and he will provide a brief report.
Hello all. Good evening, Chairperson Chavez, Vice Chair Hendricks, General Manager Fernandez, members of the board. I'm Vignesh. I'm the Vice Chair of CAC and CWC. At our July 8th meeting, the committee approved the notice and the publication strategy for 2000 Measure A Citizen Watchdog Committee's public hearing on the results of the independent compliance audit for the 2000 Measure A revenues and expenditures for the fiscal year 2019. The independent compliance auditors issued an unqualified clean opinion for fiscal year 2019. This is the 14th consecutive audit that has received a clean opinion. Due to COVID-19 impacts on newspaper circulation, the CWC supported a digital first strategy to promote the required annual public hearing. The blog post and social media posts are now available, and I would like to request you to share them with your network so we can get more participation at our public hearing. With that, I'd like to formally invite you to the CACWC meeting on Wednesday, August 12th, that's next week. The CAC's virtual meeting will be held at 4 p.m. and the CWC public hearing will begin promptly at 6 p.m. Thank you. That concludes my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. And I will ask that the staff send an email to the board so that the board can get it into their networks and newsletters for those who have any coming out before then. Before I go to see if any comments from my colleagues, we have a couple of raised hands on this item, and we'll go to our public speakers, and then we'll come back to the board.
Mr. Beekman, please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Blair, you have to unmute yourself.
Okay, I just unmuted. Thank you. I just wanted to take this time to thank yourselves for, at the VTA, for having the CAC meetings continue through this whole COVID period. It's been the one committee meeting that you've had throughout this COVID period, and it's a comfort. It's a good meeting to have. You know, it really can speak to everyday people, and thank you for that. It allows, you know, we've had some sort of connection. Our connections have been very, very minimal these days, and you know, I hope you can be able to bring out other committees again. But to have the CAC as your main functioning committee, thank you for everybody's work on that committee, and that it's been available to all of us. Thank you.
Mr. Bradley, please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Evening once again, board members. Eugene Bradley, founder and CEO of the Silicon Valley Transit Users. Will these and past CAC meetings that have been held online virtually also be included as viewable on VTA's website? The reason I ask is because I only see really the board meetings that are the prior board meetings that are on the page, not the committee meetings. So I'm just wondering.
Do I answer?
Yes, if you don't mind, if you know the answer, if staff does.
Madam Chair, this is Elaine. So for the past meetings of the Citizens Advisory Committee, if they're held by Zoom, those videos are archived in the website.
Thank you. Roland?
Go ahead and speak, Mr. LeBron.
Thank you, and I do believe this is actually incorrect. The archive for the CAC meeting should be there, and it isn't. It's one of those that's missing. But what I like to talk about is what I spoke about under general public comment. Is the Measure A dashboard, which basically makes it possible for board members and ordinary members of the public to really understand what's going on with Measure A. So this report is coming out. It's probably going to be close to 100 pages or more. I would really appreciate if staff could find any way to post this report to the website before close of business tomorrow, Friday, so that we have got time to go through it over the weekend and start analyzing and provide some kind of meaningful input by Wednesday next week. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'll see if there are any questions from my colleagues. Seeing none, thank you, Vignesh, and for being here with us tonight as well.
Thank you all.
There's no report for the PAC, and the Standing Committee for item 5.3, the Governance and Audit Committee met earlier today, and we discussed a policy that will be forwarded to the board next month. And we also discussed board governance enhancements today. Item 5.4, the Chairperson's report from SR 85 and Eastridge to Bart Regional Connector PABs are available on in your online packet. John?
Yeah, I'd like to make a modification to the written reports, and so could I read that? Read the statement, make sure that it's a little more accurate of what took place, please.
Sure.
Okay, so at the June 15th meeting, the Policy Advisory Board received the findings of the SR 80 Finding Transit Guideway, which analyzed different investment strategies for Highway 85, including express lane, transit lanes, and bus on shoulder alternatives. The board advisor gravitated toward a transit lane alternative that would install a transit lane between North Bay Shore and SR 87 in San Jose. And that's been the inclination the entire time. And so there was that wasn't pointed out here. Also that the report gave different scenarios, and the PAB didn't feel that the study really looked into all the facts, or if they couldn't get the information, they said that it was a no-go. Instead of exploring, trying to find the information to substantiate a finding. And so that was for the June 15th meeting. And then on the July 13th meeting, again, we all supported the transit lane only from SR 87 to North Bay Shore. And we're looking forward to bringing you a recommendation on the 24th. So the PAB has pretty much been consistent the last half year on their belief that a transit only lane would be the best option to achieve the goals of congestion, greenhouse gases, quality of life, and speed of transit. So I just wanted to get that cleared up a little bit. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments, or staff want to comment on that, or it's all good? All right. I'm going to assume it is all good. Thank you. Those are all of our committee reports. That takes us to item 6. This is our consent agenda, and these are items 6.1 through 6.8 and item 7.4. Is there any member of the board who would like to pull an item off the agenda or needs to recuse themselves from any item within consent? I'm going to start with Dave.
Thank you, Cindy. I would like to, I don't need to pull anything. I'd like to recuse on item 6.5 and item 6.6. And I do that pursuant to Government Code Section 84308. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. And that was, I'm sorry, Dave, 6.5 and 6.6? Got it.
That's correct.
All right. Lon?
Yes, Director, I'd also like to recuse myself from item 7.4 under the same government code, section 8, whatever it is.
Okay, thanks, Lon. Mayor Liccardo and then Mayor Hendricks.
Thank you. I'd also like to recuse myself from items 6.5 and 6.6 for the same basis cited by Supervisor Cortese.
Thank you. Glenn?
Are you ready for a motion?
Yes, I'm gonna recuse myself for the same reason on item 7.4. And yes, I would appreciate a motion. Oh, we have two. Why don't you go ahead and make a motion? We'll do a second and then we'll take public comment.
Okay, so I move the consent calendar, item 6.1 through 6.8 and item 7.4.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second from Mayor Liccardo. We have a motion, a second. Okay. And then,
Madam Chair, this is Elaine. Can we get somebody else to second, because Mayor Liccardo is recusing on a couple of items?
no problem.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Barr has seconded. Thank you. So we have a
Madam
motion.
Chair, I'm sorry, I didn't cite that 7.4 was also being considered on consent. I'd like to recuse myself on 7.4 as well. This is Liccardo. Thank you.
Also, Councilmember Deep would like to recuse himself on 6.6 as well. Thank you.
Okay.
Wait, let me just make sure. Does the staff have all that?
Yeah,
You're
yes.
good?
So
Okay.
I have, yes.
Okay, if you have it, I'm good. So we're gonna now we have a motion and a second. We're gonna go to public comment and then we'll go back to the board. Thank you.
Mr. LeBrun, please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
This is about item 6.1. I'm strongly opposed to the appointment of Jason Baker to Measure B Citizens Oversight Committee for the following reasons. Mr. Baker is currently the Vice President of Transportation and Housing for the Leadership Group, a lobbying organization representing special interest groups, including VTA's bar consultants, who are currently burning Measure A at the rate of $20 million a month, which is more than what Measure A generated pre-COVID. In closing, appointing Mr. Baker or anyone else from the leadership group to the Measure B Oversight Committee would be the equivalent of letting a fox inside a chicken coop instead of looking after the interests of transit users who rely on Measure A and Measure B for their essential transportation needs. And my last comment is why so many people on this board had to recuse from voting on the consent calendar is because of campaign contributions. Yes, campaign contributions. And the sooner that stops, the better. Thank you.
Mr. Beekman, please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Actually, did you mean Mr. Bradley?
Mr. Bradley, thank you.
Sorry about that. I echo Roland's comments. In particular, this is just a textbook example of cronyism with Mr. Baker's proposed appointment. How is it that a group, a technology business lobbying group who funds and campaigns for VTA on these measures gets to sit on a committee that has to monitor how the money is spent? This is one of the main reasons why VTA has had 3 grand jury reports in the last 20 years about how it's wasted money and is mismanaged. Instead, Mr. Baker or anybody else at the Silicon Valley Leadership Group, get someone from the public with accounting knowledge that has the best knowledge to be able to report how our money is properly spent or even misspent. Thank you.
Mr. Beekman, please go ahead and speak when you're ready. Mr. Beekman.
Yeah, hi, thank you. To speak to a few items on the approval of minutes today. It seems that the new Berryessa BART station 5 to 15 shot spotters would accomplish about the same thing as the current 60+ shot spotter speakers spaced at 5 feet apart across the entire station. Good minimal use practices offers a respectful logic and can still very well serve the deterrence element you are looking for. To speak to CHSR items, I am hoping it can be comfortable and intelligent to openly talk about remaining options, including the CHR to Tracy and BART going out to Tracy. As it may be offer better mass transit options and not take away as many homes from the Gardner neighborhood in SF Peninsula. I hope my words today can bring an open discussion in the next few months. With any remaining time, I hope local governments and community can work together and make demands around federal mandates with local technology and broadband issues at this time. How can people of San Jose, of local government?
Tessa, please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Yes, I'm very concerned and appreciate the citizenry looking after government, because this is what we're supposed to do. That is our job, is citizens over the individual over government. And what's happening in, I'm talking in regards to the Jason Baker appointment. I was wondering, who is that guy? And they explained it, and that's really disturbing. And the fact that, yes, that the VTA board and their governance has been looked at as being corrupt. And I've seen it over the time in terms of Measure B, that it was all about the corporations and jobs. And those are the ones that got the, applause from Measure B was, thank you, for the jobs. And this is what we have to really be looking at, that you're making the decisions based on economic growth. And we really have to look at Bart very seriously about how we're spending this money. And we're making a lot of mistakes, which are specifically the Bart to Santa Clara, and even having 4 stations. We have to reduce it and make it as little as possible and make our transportation hyper local.
Thank you. So with that, I'm going to go call on board members, starting with Supervisor Cortese.
Nothing more, Cindy. I just didn't put the hand down. Thank you.
Thank you. And Sam, same?
Yes.
Okay. Jeannie?
Yeah, I just wanted to make one comment and then have a question. And that is, for the members of the public, this structure for this oversight committee is different than Measure A. It has 8 voting positions that are defined by areas of expertise. The Mr. Baker is being assigned to the slot that is assigned to the regional business organization, which is an appropriate fit. The question that I have, though, Chair, is we have 2 other vacancies. Is this something where the board should be trying to assist in terms of trying to find qualified candidates, or are we making progress on those?
Good question. Let me turn to staff. I don't know who would know the answer to that.
I'm going to ask Jim Lawson to address this, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Madam General Manager. We have had a challenge in filling some of these roles. A lot of it has been impacted by the pandemic and a lack of interest on the part of the general public to participate in meetings. Having said that, we have lately begun a very aggressive campaign to fill those slots. And what I will commit is we will send each of you a link to the application process and ask if you would be good enough to share that among your friends and connections, because we will be happy to fill those slots.
Jim, if you could identify the slots that are vacant for the public.
Can. There is a slot for a judge. There's a slot for
Educational. Jim, it's the educational.
Oh, yeah. Jay Bailey has left. It's the educational slot, and that one is empty as well. Sorry.
Thank you.
I appreciate the link getting out to everybody. Again, our newsletters are great ways to get people who are interested in helping. So thank you for that. All right, seeing no other comments or questions, we will take a roll call vote on our consent calendar.
Okay, Carr?
Yes.
Carrasco?
Aye.
Cortese?
Aye.
Dieppe?
Aye.
Jones?
Aye.
Ricardo?
Aye.
McAllister?
Yes.
Nunez?
Aye.
Peralez?
Aye.
Rennie?
Aye.
Hendricks?
Yes.
Chavez?
Yes.
Motion passed. We have recusals for item 6.5 from board members Cortese and Liccardo, recusals for item 6.6 for board members Cortese, Dieppe, and Liccardo, and recusals for item 7.4 from board members Chavez, Dieppe, and Liccardo.
And does that sound right to everyone? All right, then we are good to go. Thank you very much. We're going to move to item 7.1. This is an information item. We're going to have a brief staff presentation, and then members of the public who would like to speak on this item, this would be the time to put up your hands while Takis gets us rolling,
I am here.
so to speak.
Are we on? Yes.
You're on.
There, members of the board. It's 53 days today since the first train rollout of Berryessa, and I'm pleased to tell you that 72 trains a day, they are running back and forth, and I have no infrastructure issues to report. Everything is working very well. And Bart has established safety protocols for the users, for the passengers, and considering where public transportation usage is today, they're doing very well. On page 2, I wanted to report to you on the punch list. You remember we had a few hundred items in the punch list, to be precise, 397 the day of the opening. I'm pleased to tell you today, as I sit here in my office, we have only 75. And the plan here is to finish by the end of this year, if not before that. On page 3, this is the table. I report to you the finances and the project finance in general, and I continue to maintain we have good news here. And although some cost items went up in cost, some other line items went down, overall, the project is on budget, and we have savings a little bit more than $42 million. I know some people are talking about professional services and how expensive they are and so on. I like I did for phase 2, I like to do the same thing for phase 1 to remind everyone that line item 80, professional services, has 5 major items. Have the VTA project management cost, has the VTA support cost, has the Bart cost, has the consulting cost, has city cost and for support services, and has the Bart hiring and training of the operations and the maintenance people for our extension. I will continue to report to you the update on this like we do every month with FTA. On page 4, you can see the trend is similar to page 4, Elaine. Yes. I wanted to brief you on the closeout of the contracts. 5 contracts have been closed. 2 are remaining open, which we're going to close one the end of this month and the other the end of next month. You can see for yourselves the backbone network. And then we have the big contract, which, as you know, we're working it with the Office of the General Counsel. The staffing, the FTEs, you can see it for yourself, following the punch list. Today, at the day of the opening, we had about 43 FTEs. Today, we're down to 27, and before the end of the year, we will be 20. Take it, page 5. On the phase 2, the last time when I briefed you was June 19th, and I discussed with you the next steps. I'm reporting back on the project, on the update on each of the next steps of June 19th. The first one was to move Bart and collocate Bart staff with our engineering staff, and I'm pleased to tell you that already happened. They are collocated with 14 people from Bart. Real estate acquisitions we need for the project already started. Appraisals are underway, and I believe in a couple months, Ron Golem is going to come before you asking for authority to proceed. And I also told you that the 5 consulting companies, 5 prime consulting companies we have working here we were working to integrate them under one umbrella to eliminate any duplications and any inefficiencies. And I'm pleased to tell you that's working very well. And hopefully next month I will update you on that one. And the last item I'd like to update you in the next steps before I go to the FTA items is that we already initiated the development of construction contracts. And I will brief you for that next month. Page 6, I'll take 3 minutes of your time to take you through what's going on with FTA. You remember we were in the process of working our EPD application. You can see on page 6 the chronology. The item I like to ask you to focus for 2 seconds is the third bullet. On July 28th, FTA issue what they call it the Notice of Funding Opportunity, NOFO, for the EPD program. We are the only project of the EPD program, but they would like to make it a nationwide, they say. For that, on July 31st, 3 days later or so, we had a meeting between us, VTA, Region 9, and the headquarters. And FTA assigned a project management oversight contractor on us, which will start out reviewing all the material which are important to the FTA to approve the grant. On the next page, page 7, we've been reviewing, of course, the NOFO, and we continue to coordinate with the FTA, the PMOC, the contractor. And I'm pleased to tell you that tomorrow we're gonna electronically send to the FTA's project management oversight contractor 22 documents. You can see the documents next is on my desk here in my office in the binders. And those 22 documents is exactly the list requested from the FTA to provide. Couple more items. FTA requested for us to do a peer review. They want us for peer agencies to do a peer review of the project, and FTA would like to participate. And we're working on that. Mid-September, we will do that. And we're gonna get ready. And as soon as FTA said we met all the requirements, we were ready to submit the application. I know our general manager is in total charge of what we're doing and how FTA operates and so on. And the last page on my presentation tonight, Madam Chair, is we were able to turn the schedule for phase 2 to what you are familiar on the framework schedule we use, at least for my tenure here for phase 1. You can see for yourselves the 4 contracts we're going to deliver, and you can see what are the next steps for us. The yellow flags you can see are coming up very rapidly. They are hitting me right in front of me here, is the request of information. We need to get ready to get to the marketplace. And as our GM told FTA, this is the right market for us to be out there and see if we can get good bids. That's my presentation, Madam Chair, and I'm here to answer any questions you and the board may have.
Thank you very much. And I think, did you mean to go to slide 8? Or is that was in my packet? All right, maybe not. We're now going to go to the public to get public comment, and then I'll go to my colleagues to see if there's any questions that you have for Takis. Thank you.
First up is Roland, then Eugene and Tessa. Roland, please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Thank you. So I'm going to give you a very quick rundown of my letter, which is in your packet. First of all, on the various extension, the ridership is 350 passengers a day, or an average of 5 passengers per train every day. That represents approximately 10% of the current Caltrain ridership and less than 1% of the current Bart ridership. Now, on 7/24, Mr. Salpeus had an interview in the Business Journal, and he reported a new cost estimate of $6.3 billion, which is $600 million less than what was reported to the board on June 19th. So through the chair, why isn't this in presentation? With regards to the NOFO, there's been no change of funding. It's still $225 million, $125 million of which have been allocated to the VTA. But the VTA have to resubmit their application regardless. And last thing is, I'm really, really pleased that the FTA is bringing in a program management oversight committee and start looking over this project. Thank you.
Mr. Bradley, please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
I echo Mr. LeBrun's comments, and that is all I will say on that. I echo Mr. LeBrun's comments.
Thank you. Tessa, please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Okay, so we're looking at the Bart. It looked like you were looking at the Bart phase 2, whatever. And this, you know, we had 60 people speaking today, a lot of them young people. And it is up to us, the boomers, that are making the decisions that are really have left them in a real, we've done a lot of damage. And we've got to start having the foresight to look at what's happening. And Bart is really not what we need right now. That is what's happening. I mean, we can't even afford the mass transit. People aren't wanting to take the mass transit. So we're going to really have to change. And then to make a system that's going to go underground, be, you know, with people having trouble in terms of COVID-19 and aerosols of this. So we really have to have the forethought to really rethink everything that we're doing. And at least we need to make sure we're providing transit locally. And the fact that the jobs are not coming down here, we don't have to have that. So we need to reduce the Bart operation.
Mr. Beekman and then Alita. Mr. Beekman, please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Thank you. I need to find my item here. Okay, here we go. I cannot find it. As we are at a time, all of us, not just government, can better consider options of peace, sustainability, and equity. Gun use at Berryessa and North San Jose may be more rare and infrequent in the future with good practices between ourselves. With this, what is possible at this time, the current wall of eavesdropping technology at North San Jose, Bart, Berryessa may possibly be overindulgent and overreactive. And to conclude, you know, I felt with a big belly, we were all learning important lessons of what eavesdropping technology is not too cool, and it doesn't have a free pass anymore. And I thought we were practicing how to balance those questions more. What you've done in Berryessa needs a lot of open discussion. Thank you.
Alita, please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair Chavez and members. Alita Dupree for the record, she and her. Thank you for this presentation. I've been following this phase 1 and phase 2 for a long time, and I look forward to using phase 1. It'll be very, very helpful for me to get from Oakland to San Jose with a frequent fast service. I saw a video taken of it. Reminded me of riding the number 2 and 3 express on the west side of Manhattan. Under 7th Avenue and Broadway. It's a treat. So let's get to work on the phase 2, of which I support phase 2 going to Santa Clara, which will provide us with an additional railroad yard and also options, just as in New York City and New Jersey. You can go from Penn Station, New York to Newark on NJ Transit or Amtrak, but you can also take another service called PATH. So let's get phase 2 going. Thank you.
Thank you to our public speakers, and thanks to the clerk. I now will go to the board for any comments or questions of staff. And I see Rob Rennie.
Thank you, Chair. So, Mr. Salpice, we got a email from Spur, which believes that you have value engineered out the south entrance to, I guess it's the Santa Clara station for phase 2. I know that there was several board members that felt it was important to have that. If we are planning to value engineer that out, I suggest that we have a board agenda item to talk about it, or talk about alternatives to some way to mitigate that. So the question is that true? Are we considering value engineering that out? If so, I missed it somewhere.
Thank you for your question. I haven't done any value engineering. We haven't done any value engineering. I need to remind you, however, the adopted design, the station entrances, they are both on the north side. For that, it's not considered, the present design does not consider an entrance from the south side. For that, if that's gonna happen, it's gonna take a special design to accommodate that. And I can take you through and explain it to you and so on.
Okay, well, my comment is I think there's several board members that were expecting that there would be a south side, or you know, maybe we make a flyover above ground or something so that it's easier for you know, travelers to get to the other side of the street.
Yes. We can discuss that at some point soon when we have better understanding of the design. But as I hope you recall, the alternative we have selected has the platforms on the north side. For going from the south, you have to cross the street or you go at the ground. I don't think anybody in the city of San Jose would support another ground passageways for the passengers. But we need to figure a way, like you said, maybe street crossing and so on. For that, this is a discussions which we have right now, and it's going to take a couple of months before we have the configuration. But right now, I do not consider on the design a south entrance for the reasons I articulated.
Sam? You're on mute, Sam.
Thank you. Could you just articulate a little more clearly when that decision point comes to the board about the south side?
If I may, Takis, let me take this opportunity to speak on this item. And I appreciate, I did not see the email from Spur, but I appreciate that this item has been raised. Again, I want to support what Takis Salpias has said. There has been no value engineering. Then second, when we brought the environmental impact report to the board a couple years ago for approval, there was no south entrance. So the document that was approved and the record of decision that was granted had the 2 access points in downtown San Jose on the north side. There was a request at one of our board meetings by several members of the board that we look at access on the south. And I believe that at the time, Mrs. Salpias was not with us, but at the time we looked at several alternatives and they would require, one, it was difficult to do because of the several historical buildings downtown, and that it may require changes to our environmental document because we would then have to acquire property that was not listed initially. But we said we would look and work with the city of San Jose specifically on what options were available and then what the cost was, and then who would be assuming cost, responsibility for the cost. I don't know what the status of that is, but I just want to make sure that we're clear that nothing was in there that was approved, adopted, or even considered by the federal government when we were granted the record of decision that's different than what we have there today, that we've been asked to look at alternatives. And I think our responsibility right now is we will look at alternatives, we'll invest in with the consultant to look at alternatives, and we will bring those alternatives to you. But given the decision that was made to accommodate the emergency exit using the ventilation structures for emergency, and these other decisions that are now part of the design, that we are finalizing the cost estimate so that we can submit the application. I don't know what that additional cost is going to do to our financial capacity and ability to be able to stay within the frame of the funding estimate that we believe we can manage to deliver phase 2. We'd be happy to bring alternatives and cost, and then discussions as to what it would take, what changes will be required, what additional schedule and cost will result from it, and how the cost will be assumed.
Mary, thank you for that explanation. You know, as I was looking at the timeline, it appears that the RFPs for the systems and the tunnel should be complete roughly by mid 2021, perhaps fall 2021, as well as for the stations. And by that point, I assume, would it be at that point that you'd have a really clear picture about what the cost profile is for construction?
Yes. The answer is yes.
Okay. So the question I'd have is that too late a time for the board to then consider a south station, or does that need to be considered well before that?
My answer is well before that, Mayor. Sooner the better. If we're gonna add, for the reasons Nuria said, if we're gonna add another entrance to the station, we're gonna need environmental work, we're gonna need real estate work, we're gonna need design work. And as I was saying a few minutes ago, if we do that, the station entrance on the platforms is on one side, as you know, going from the south to there. The city of San Jose has to decide what type of a crossing you're gonna allow to do. But we have a lot of work to do in case you think we're gonna add the south entrance.
And you indicated that you don't believe the city, and I assume you're, because you've been talking to staff, would be supportive of an underground crossing for pedestrians?
I haven't talked to anybody in the city of San Jose, but usually cities do not like that. Look, San Francisco and Powell Street, and the underground crossings there, all the issues through the years and so on. For that, that's my reaction, professional reaction. I don't know the specific about it.
Could you just explain that? Is that because of a safety concern, or?
Yes, safety concern used by people who they stay inside the passages, and they become really difficult areas for anybody else to use it. Also, Mayor, what we need to do, if we're gonna go down, we need to calculate the demand. Is there a significant demand coming from the south in order to have a third entrance to the station? That's the reason I said we have a lot of variables to examine here if we have to do something like this. And of course, the other way to work it out, Mayor, is that maybe we need to take some action now to not preclude the future generations to do it. Washington Metro, as you know, have done plenty of this, and slowly add every 2-3 years, they add another entrance in some neighborhoods, they close some other entrances in other neighborhoods. But we need to figure a way, if that's important to you and the board, how to work this through.
Takis, when do you believe that the consultants' work would be completed in helping us surface these issues?
I don't know how to answer you right now, but I think I want to go back and see what are the pieces to this menu. When I have all the pieces, then Nuria and I can talk with you and everybody else and decide when to brief you. I will do some conceptual put together in order to brief you and discuss the issues a little bit better with you. That's what I think we need to do next.
And if I may just interject very quickly, there was some work that was done prior to Takis joining us. And one of the things that was triggered is that if there's another entrance, then there's a need for another station booth and a station attendant. So it's not just having entrances that are free flowing and connecting to the paid area, but this will be separate from the current configuration for the paid area. So let's go back, revisit those options that were shared with the city, and look and see if there's new options now that we have interjected emergency evacuation stations for downtown.
Great, thank you. I appreciate it. I know others, I think, on the board would as well. So I appreciate you taking a closer look, and I look forward to further conversation. Takis, I know that if there's any advantage to an awful recession, it's that you're going out to bid. And I'm looking at the schedule here, and it would seem as though these RFPs are well situated. I assume the price gets locked in by mid-21 if all goes on schedule. Is that right?
it's very difficult question you're asking, Mayor, because now we are under the federal rules and we have to produce, like Nuria said, the cost estimates for them to make their final decision, what project they're gonna provide the 25% funding. But this element was not included, as we just told you. For that, we
Yeah,
need.
I'm actually asking a different question. I'm sorry, Takis. I'm no longer on the issue of this particular element. I understand you're looking at that, and we'll be having some more conversation about it. I'm more just trying to understand from the standpoint of trying to take advantage of low bids.
Yes.
Can we feel confident that we'll, at least for the station's tunnel track work and systems, we'll have all those bids and all the pricing will be set by roughly mid-21? Is that right?
Yes, that's the plan. That's where we're marching on.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
our plan. This is our framework, as I call it.
And is there any way to actually get prices locked in at any point before the RFP? I assume that's not conceivable, is it?
Any pricing?
Yeah, the reason why I'm saying that, look, we don't know what's going to happen, obviously, in the next year and a half with this pandemic. But one might imagine a scenario, perhaps, as Dr. Fauci says, there's some kind of vaccine. We all hope there is one soon. By the end of this year, early next year, the hope would be that we would be able to get pricing locked in during the time when people, that is firms that are bidding, are least optimistic about the economy. And I'm just wondering if there's any mechanism by which we can accelerate any aspect of that, the ability to lock in the price.
I don't think so. This is complex.
Yeah.
Complex jobs. They have a lot of staff. And this pandemic is not helping us very much. We have hundreds of people working remotely. And no, I don't think so, Mayor. I don't see it. I will be very happy if I meet all the yellow flags. If the yellow flags you see on the schedule, I will be very, very happy. Remember, we have a big federal review is coming in front of us. They have a clock of 120 days when they're gonna tell us submit for the clock to start. We have all these steps ahead of us and so on. For that, right now the focus is yellow, get the RFIs out, get the teams formed, who they're gonna be the job, start the one-on-one with them while we're working on the RFQ, and get the RFQs out and pre-qualify the teams. I think at that time, I can tell you when we have a good competition here and how the competition looks like.
Thank you, Takis.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Raul?
Hi, thank you, Chair. I'm going to take advantage of the opportunity of Zoom, and I don't know if it's possible to go off of the shared screen, so then that way my background shows. What I tried to switch my background to here.
Oh, we can get.
Yeah, was what one idea that we had discussed. I know when we had our study session, as Nuria was talking about, and we had. I think one of the confusing things was initially staff was presenting back saying that a head house or a traditional station entrance on the south side was not feasible. And I don't know if it was a board member or if it was Scott Neese from the Downtown Association that sort of made the joke and said, hey, we don't need a head house, we could take a dog house. And essentially, I think the idea is just an entrance, right? Something on the south side that would potentially only even take up the public right of way, maybe some space on a sidewalk, and just allow for a crossing, which would be underground, even if it is just the pedestrian underground crossing, so that we don't have to have potentially hundreds or thousands of people a day crossing over Santa Clara. I think there was an expression from a number of San Jose council members at that meeting, and as the mayor just highlighted, there was no indication that we would be opposed to exploring some sort of crossing underground. There was even comments of, well, would there be something, could you do something kind of aerial above? I think this would be the easiest sort of example, would be just something, apologize for the helicopter overhead. I think this would be the easiest sort of example of just what it is that at least I have expressed interest in. We've heard a number of other board members, and I'll remind staff that Bart board members as well, right, have been expressing an interest to want to have an entrance of some sort on the south side. I think definitely at a bare minimum, and I recognize because of the design that we have with this, with our tunnel boring, that's why initially we weren't talking about an entrance on both the north and the south side. And we understood that, and as Nuria said, that was absolutely what this board sort of moved forward with a couple of years ago on the EIR. And for me at that point, it was more crucial to ensure that we did get an east option as well as a west. So a west, a west and east entrance. But additionally, we had expressed that we wanted to keep in the conversation the opportunity of this south entrance of some sort, and avoid so many people, especially there at where the main head house will be, crossing over Santa Clara. And I think that should, I definitely want to see, and I know we haven't yet, we actually, unless somebody from staff can remind me and I'm just forgetting, but I don't recall us having any presentation on options or pricing. And so I would like to have that discussion. And thank you, Director Rennie, for kind of mentioning that, and Mayor. I would love to have that conversation and be able to see what options staff has explored or would explore, what the cost might be. Is it something that we can avoid, right? Any sort of major implications on an EIR? Is it something as small as, the image that I have as my background here, and just an ability again to cross, right, the hundreds and thousands of pedestrians without having them cross over vehicle traffic on Santa Clara. So I just, that would be it. If staff can respond in regards to when you think we might be able to have that discussion. I know Nuria was saying that that's something you could bring forward, but is it, could you give us a timeline?
Yes. Board Member Perales will be happy to huddle and then get back to the board with our best estimate, given that our focus right now, we're sheltered in place. Our focus has been on the expedited project delivery application, so we don't miss the cycle. And we would need to look at what can be done. I just, very quickly, Madam Chair, if I may, remember when we decided that we wanted to have a stack configuration, that put the station on one side, because now we have the incoming and outgoing tracks stacked. So when we talk about we can go underground, I'm not sure how much deep underground to cross over, because above ground, there's not that much clearance with our stack configuration to then build this crossing. Now, I'm just saying this, I'm sure that the engineers will try to be creative. That's one. It's if we had gone with the side-by-side and we had the cut and cover, we could have created similar to what you see on Powell Street. And if you think of an octopus, we would have created the head of the octopus, and you would have had entrances everywhere, because everyone would access the station and end up at the head, and that's where they will pay and go into the paid area. In this instance, what we have designed is having a station on the north, and that's where all of the turnstiles, that's where all of the fare equipment is going to be located. And once you cross over, you still have to get to that location. You can't just access platforms. So we will take a look, we'll come back, and we'll share with you what the pros and cons are and challenges and the cost, so that you can have a conversation about it.
Great, thank you. Did that answer everybody's questions? So just as a kind of a broad comment, the one thing I will say is that whether or not we've been talking about the Darion station or the downtown station, I like, I have a concern about Santa Clara Street, and I'll tell you what one of my concerns is that as we have buses queuing up, I'm nervous we're going to slow down our own buses with people crossing the street, because someday I hope it's that busy with human beings trying to get on transit from Darion or from downtown. And I say that because, you know, we have so few north-south roads that can carry any number of people on them, especially in the downtown area, that I'm just hopeful that we're going to be looking at options. And to be frank with you, I wasn't even thinking about a below grade option. I was actually trying to think about what an above grade option would look like if we were looking at, in particular at SAP and Darion, just because for safety and a bunch of other reasons. So I appreciate that this feels like a new discussion. I think that it's an older discussion and one that we ought to think of, just give a little more strategic thought to, because I'm not even sure it's below grade is the way to go. I just don't know. But thank you for all that. We're going to move on. There was no action there, so we're going to go to for action to the Caltrain sales tax ballot measure. Thank you, Takas and team, for all that good information. This is to adopt a resolution authorizing the Santa Clara Valley Transportation Authority to grant authority to the Peninsula Corridor Joint Powers Board to place an 8-cent retail sales transaction tax and use tax on the November 3rd, 2020 ballot in San Mateo, Santa Clara, and San Francisco counties. I'm going to turn this over to Jim Lawson, the Chief of our External Affairs Office, and he's going to provide a report. We're going to let the staff give a presentation. Then we're going to go to the public for public comment. Then I'm going to come to the board for comment, and then we'll go to action. All right? Is that all right with everyone? Yay! Where's the enthusiasm? We got to get our second wind. It's almost 8 o'clock. Hey. We've been in meetings all day. This is awesome. All right. So
I'm fired up.
Jim, do you want a drum roll, or are you just going to lean in there?
No, I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm ready
All
to
right.
go, Madam Chair. Thank you very much. This represents an historic opportunity for the VTA board to assist in placing a 1/8-cent sales tax on the ballot in San Francisco, San Mateo, and Santa Clara counties. This will provide a long anticipated dedicated revenue source for Caltrain. Just as a background on this, in 2017, the board adopted a support position of SB 797 by Senator Hill, which would allow this ballot to be placed, this measure to be placed on the ballot. The ballot itself will require a 2/3 majority in the totality of the population in the 2 counties. We are at the penultimate point in the approval process, which involves many different entities, which we'll show you in our slide presentation. Following this, only the San Francisco Board of Supervisors is left to grant their final approval. This item came to A&F in May, and during that presentation, were concerns raised about the status of the ballot measure, the state of the polling, the appetite of the public based upon this the pandemic that we were facing. And so the A&F asked that this be pushed to the full board, which we have done. In order to do that, we put together a presentation, which is in your packet. It includes an update on the sales tax polling by Ruth Bernstein of EMC Research. Ms. Bernstein has graciously agreed to answer any questions that you might have. You have the detail in your package. Seamus Murphy, who is the Chief Information Officer, my colleague from Caltrain, will describe the benefits to Caltrain and the approval process. Finally, Raj Srinath, our Chief Financial Officer, will tell you what's in it for us, what's the benefit for VTA. With that, I would like to turn this over to Seamus, and if you would move the slides to that point.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Jim. I also will move through these slides just in a summary format because of the time. I'm conscious of that, and I know most of your board members are very familiar as a member agency in the Caltrain system of the dire need to provide Caltrain with dedicated funding. Caltrain's the only system that doesn't have dedicated funding in the Bay Area. Also a system that's very fare dependent. The combination of those two factors makes Caltrain extremely vulnerable to the pandemic, obviously, with the ridership decline that has occurred on all of our systems. These funds would enable Caltrain to be able to survive this pandemic, even with the CARES Act funding that has been provided from first Congress and then MTC. Caltrain is the system that will expend all of those CARES Act funds the quickest. Those CARES Act funds will not last very long on the Caltrain system unless ridership returns very dramatically. We don't think that's going to happen. Even our most optimistic ridership projections show that we're probably going to need an additional $21 million in the current fiscal year to be able to make it through between now and the end of June 2021. And these dedicated funds would be available for us to leverage to make it through our current crisis. And then also, you know well from the work that we've done on the Caltrain business plan and the board adopted service vision that Caltrain needs to grow, that Caltrain, in order to accommodate the regional growth in our 3 counties, will need to operate more service. We have a project that will be launched very soon in 2022 that will operate electrified service on the Caltrain corridor. That allows us to increase service to accommodate our regional needs, but we can't afford to operate and expand that electrified service unless we have dedicated funding to be able to fund those operating costs. There are also some very clear benefits on the equity side that I'm sure we'll hear about during public comment. And as Mr. Lawson mentioned, there are some very clear benefits to VTA on the financial side. And so I will turn it over to Raj to cover those.
Thank you, Seamus, and good evening, Madam Chair and members of the board. If we could move the slide up. Actually, I'm going to skip that. Thank you. This is an overview of member agency contributions to Caltrain. And Caltrain covers a majority of its operating expenditures from fare box revenues. In fact, it's got one of the highest fare box revenue recovery ratios in the industry. And what is not covered by fare box, or the remainder, is funded through the member agencies for both operating and capital budgets. At the current time, the capital contribution by each member agency is approximately $5 million per year. And the operating costs are based on a percentage of system ridership. For VTA, it is approximately 42.4% of the operating budget. Next slide, please. And this is a kind of what our contributions have been, VTA's contributions have been for both operating budget as well as capital expenditures. For operating budget, it was about $9 million in 2018, and it's been 10.8 for fiscal year 19 as well as fiscal year 20. And we have also budgeted 10.8 for fiscal year 21. I believe Seamus touched on this. There is a request for additional funding based on increased costs or loss of revenues. That's about $11 million. That is the ask of VTA for additional funding. Next slide. Any increase in member contributions beyond what has been adopted in the biennial budget, this is kind of stating the obvious, would mean less revenues available for VTA transit services. And the benefits to VTA are, if the proposed ballot measure or legislation passes, it could reduce VTA's annual operating expenditure contributions of 10.8 million and capital of 15 per year. That's roughly about $16 million per year VTA could potentially save. In addition to those two contributions for operating and annual capital expenditures, VTA has also contributed and continues to contribute based on various other measures for certain large projects, which are on the slide now. Next one. This is, VTA has also been facing a lot of challenges, as I've presented in the last few months because of COVID-19. We were looking very good in February of 2020. We were looking at about a surplus of roughly $28 million by the end of the fiscal year. But unfortunately, that has changed. In fact, we are staring at a deficit of about the same $28 million by the end of this fiscal year. And there's a footnote there, which just means these are subject to audit. The audit is ongoing, and the numbers may change subject to any audit findings. And the last slide, before we move to the recommendation, I'll be happy to answer any questions. If there are no questions, we can move to the last slide, which is the recommendation.
With that, Madam Chair, we would ask the board to consider adopting a resolution authorizing the sales tax measure on the ballot in Santa Clara, San Mateo, and San Francisco.
So moved.
Excellent. We have a motion and do we have a second?
Second.
Second. So we have a mayor of San Jose making the motion and a second from Glenn Hendricks. I'm going to now go to the public for public comment, and then we'll come back to the board for discussion.
Carl, I'm going to unmute you. Please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Madam Chair and members of the VTA, my name is Carl Guardino. I am coming to support this resolution before you this evening with great enthusiasm. As you may know, the Silicon Valley Leadership Group, my former employer, has invested 9 polls over 9 years, $500,000, each showing strong voter support to move forward in this way. You may also know that we actually sponsored Senate Bill 797, the enabling legislation, and our past campaigns together, 3 county, 1 region-wide, included more than $2 billion for Caltrain operations and capital funds. The time is this November 3rd to move this forward, to ensure a train that has been in continuous operation since 1863 not only survives but thrives for residents throughout our region, benefiting their quality of life and our economy. Thank you.
Next, we have Mr. Baker, Scott Mace, and Joe. Jason, I'm going to unmute you now. Please go ahead and speak.
Thank you. My name is Jason Baker, and I lead the transportation policy at the Silicon Valley Leadership Group. We at the Leadership Group stand ready to lead a campaign to finally get Caltrain the dedicated source of operating funding it needs. Our polling shows that with a strong campaign, this measure can pass. But we can't run that campaign and give voters a chance to, unless the parties come together and put a measure on the ballot. It looks like that has happened, and I want to thank Supervisor Chavez, Jeannie Bruins, Mayor Liccardo, and all the folks who spent a lot of time making this happen. It's important for the health of our region, for our quality of life, for our economy. Now is the time. 2022 isn't the time, 2024 isn't the time. And then I want to use my final 17 seconds to thank the board for its action on the consent calendar tonight. I didn't want to speak then and take up more time, but I appreciate it. And I'll take the Measure B appointment to heart and the responsibility seriously. Thank you.
Scott, please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Yes, my name is Scott Mace. I live and work in San Jose. I would like to thank the VTA board for supporting Caltrain up to this point. It's been a long road. Now Caltrain reaches a point where it can move from COVID-induced weakness to a position of strength. And I pledge as a transit activist to work hard to advocate passage of this dedicated funding on the November ballot. Thank you for your support.
Next up, we have Joe, Alita, and Adina. Joe, please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Hi there. I thank you for having me here to speak in support of Caltrain. As Supervisor Chavez knows from earlier meetings, I was going to ride Caltrain and then fly down and ride Caltrain, but the pandemic hit. It's really important that there be accessible public transit in the Bay Area that's hopefully working together to allow tourists to, instead of getting an expensive rental car, use public transit to get around efficiently. Public transit should also have a low-income fare for the locals, and I understand that this ballot measure will help in that. I also want to take the last 20 seconds and thank all the strong, badass women who have saved public transit. It is very commendable and very much appreciated to see such strong leadership to save, Caltrain. It will definitely be part of a great seamless Bay Area. Thank you so much for the 60 seconds.
Alita, please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair Chavez and members. Alita Dupree for the record, she and her. This is very, very important, and I've been in support of this from the start. A dedicated source of funding is essential because I do not want Caltrain's future to be in question. Because I remember the fiscal crisis of 1975 in New York City when the subway was in question and plans were made to demolish Grand Central Terminal. Passenger rail had an uncertain future, and it took bold state-level leadership, including taxation, to help bring these systems back to life and to relevance, and they continue to serve the people today. Consider that New Jersey Transit still to this day has to go to Trenton for funding every year. So let's get this resolution passed. Voting is the hallmark of public participation. With your approval, it is my hope that the public will pass this measure and we can have a sustainable Caltrain. Thank you.
Adina, please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Good evening, board members. Adina Levin with Friends of Caltrain. Urge you to enthusiastically support this item before you tonight. As staff had mentioned, will help take Caltrain off of VTA's books and help preserve VTA service in this difficult time. Fortunately, this measure will support equity and connectivity strategies that the Caltrain board is about to incorporate as part of its business plan that will enable Caltrain to be accessible to more people. And interestingly, in that study, they showed that connectivity with local transit is an important equity strategy where those schedule and fare connections help more people use the service. Also, thank you very much for pushing the issue of governance of Caltrain to be able to take it into the 21st century. And we would be looking to support governance solutions that help Caltrain be more seamlessly integrated into a regional public transportation system that is equitable and accessible to all. Thank you. Please vote yes.
Next up, we have Hoi Ann, Monica, and Roland. Hoi Ann, please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Hi, I'm Hoi Ann Trung with Mothers Out Front and Turn Out for Transit. I live in San Jose. I've been a public transit rider practically all my life and do not own a car. I wholeheartedly support the sales tax. This would free up funding VTA is currently paying to help run Caltrain services. And best case scenario, this freed up funding would benefit communities of color, essential workers, and low-income residents, and help us reach our climate goals. Thank you for your work on this.
Monica, please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Hi, my name is Monica Mallon. I've been a Caltrain rider for most of my life. I don't own a car, and Caltrain has just been a huge part of my life, and it's given me access to so many opportunities during my lifetime. So I'm really excited about this measure and the opportunity that we have here to save Caltrain and to increase service in the future. And also, as Dina mentioned, have more equitable access with the equity and connectivity policies that are going to be coming forward. And I just want to say that if this ends up on the ballot, I'm going to do everything that I can to make sure that it passes in all 3 counties. So please support this. Thank you.
Mr. LeBrun, please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Thank you, and it's a real pleasure addressing you this evening. I'd just like to comment very briefly on slides 19 and 20, and I appreciate Mr. Lawson's interest in our taxes for the purposes. But I'd like to remind the board that you have some legal mandates here for what we voted for back in 2000, which was electrification from Palo Alto to Gilroy, not $87 million. And that we are going to have to help Caltrain at least until next summer. And that, I guess, will come up when we discuss this on the 18th. And last comment, I really want to say a huge thank you to Chair Chavez and Director Bruins, who were reaching out to our counterparts in San Francisco and finally addressing this governance issue that I've been advocating for at least 8 years now. Thank you.
Next up is Catherine, followed by Tessa, and phone ending in 0773. Catherine, please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Hi, thank you for the time. Yes, I agree with the other speakers that it's essential that we have a stable method of funding for Caltrain. We need to have stable train service and sorry, I lost my train of thought there. We need to keep the train funding stable instead of going around begging for money for Caltrain and all these different agencies trying to not give money to support it. That's ridiculous. We need to support public transit. You know, when things bounced back after the pandemic, Caltrain was running at like what, 120% of capacity. And also, I didn't get a chance to speak earlier, and I support diverting the highway funding or expressway funding or whatever to the buses because as a transit-focused complex resident, I'm spending like $100 on gas a month now that it's unsafe to use transit. Thank you.
Tessa, please go ahead and talk when you're ready.
Okay, good. Well, Caltrain needing support is very telling, and that's why we need to definitely not have Bart go to Santa Clara. That is a redundancy. That is a waste of money. And that is, you know, we have already in Hayward, we have a yard that we spent a lot of money at the state level to build that Hayward maintenance yard. And so we're doing redundancy. And that's the problem, that we could lose Caltrain if we don't, you know, we have this BART now going to Santa Clara. It's ridiculous. It's wasteful to, you know, just like we do in Millbrae, we get off of Caltrain and we get onto BART. That's the way it should go. Then to spend, you know, they say now 500 million. I've heard it's 1.5 billion to bring it out to Santa Clara. With that kind of redundancy, it is ridiculous. And so if here we are trying to beg to have Caltrain exist, it's ridiculous that we're going to ask the tax.
Robert, please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Hi, good evening. This is Bob Allen from Urban Habitat, and just wanted to say that I certainly welcome this measure in terms of relieving some of the fiscal pressures on VTA. I know there's hopefully still going to be a lot of work and the same attention by some of the people who've supported this measure outside the VTA board when it comes to doing things like shifting the Measure A funds around, front loading some of the operating dollars away from the larger highway and capital projects. And we have the same broad commitment to supporting VTA going forward as we did for this rescue package for Caltrain, and look forward to seeing how Caltrain continues its commitment that Adina mentioned to expanding equity for that system. But again, I hope this is a precedent in terms of stepping up and rescuing the system. And as we go forward and think about a regional measure, I hope it'll also allow us to think about different ways to fund that measure and different ways to prevent some of the damaging cuts we're facing. Thank you.
Matt Cabedo, go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Hey, VTA board members, this is Matthew Cabedo with the full disclosure, I'm with the Silicon Valley Leadership Group, calling on behalf of myself as a private citizen living in the city of San Jose. We all know that Caltrain needs a permanent funding source. Would love to see Caltrain run long into the future, carrying hundreds of thousands of passengers on a daily basis. The train was there for me when I needed it the most, when I worked in San Francisco for a few months. It has been there on many occasions when I've had to take trips to the peninsula. And I strongly urge the VTA to pass a measure today to allow the train to be there for my 4-year-old son long into the future, as my 4-year-old tries to attack me now. Thank you all so much for taking up this item. And hope the board passes VTA or the Caltrain measure today.
And that concludes our public speakers.
Great. Thank you so much. And thank you for all of those who came to speak. And I'm going to take comments from the board based on raised hands, and we have a motion and a second. So this is speaking to the motion on the floor. I'll begin with Mayor Rennie.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to actually thank you and Mayor Liccardo for all the effort you put into making this happen. From, following the media, it looked like, the San Jose supervisors and Samtrans were at loggerheads that wasn't going to get broken. And I understand the two of you and perhaps ex officio Bruins also put in a lot of extra effort. My guess in negotiating and finding a way to get through that. Caltrain is extremely important that it survives and thrives, as mentioned by some of our speakers. And it's a critical backbone transit for our area. So I really want to thank the two of you for all the extra effort you put in to get everybody to come to an agreement kind of at the 11th hour here.
Thank you, Rob. Glenn, John, and then Sam.
Yeah, I just wanted to I want to thank everybody who's put in the hard work, who's gotten us to the point of where we're at right now. But I would like to first of all, get all my colleagues to vote yes here, but to remind all of our colleagues who are on this board and in our different jurisdictions that there's a whole bunch of work that's ahead of us. That it is about 60 days before ballots will be mailed to voters for this November's election. And this I think is going to be a relatively straightforward vote for us to go ahead and say, yes, put this on the ballot, but it's going to take a lot of work for us to go ahead and help get our voters and the people in the community to go ahead and vote for this. And we've done a lot of hard work. There's hard work in front of us. So I hope all my colleagues will vote yes and work on this in the future.
Thank you, Glenn. John?
Yeah, I'd like to get on the bandwagon. Mountain View is one of the fourth, maybe busiest stop that comes along for Caltrain. It is core of our future transit center that's going to come down here, and with major employers like Google, Internet, and LinkedIn, and all those adding more employees potentially, it is a great source of traffic diversion, greenhouse gases, et cetera. So it is great to see this going down. I was really concerned about how, I know Carl was on here and he may like the word I'm going to use, parochial fighting between all the various regions and how they wanted to get something. And yet in our resolution, it says, Caltrain, the 7th largest commuter trail service in the nation, operates the most effective such service based on cost per miles and has the highest fare box recovery of all the commuter rail service nationwide at 70%. And how they could fight for something that it works. And I'm so glad that minds throughout the region got together for minds behind the scene. Jeannie Bruins was behind, Cindy, of course, Sam. Nice conversation we had with Sam. Looked like he learned some stuff. Look up, Sam. Thank you. Dean Levin for working behind the scenes. A lot of people were working to make this work because it is a great system. And I should also mention for Glenn Sunnyvale, we're that system. They're going to help both of us because we have our North Bayshore areas and he has Moffett Park that's going to continue to expand potentially. And that Caltrain is just going to be a great thing. So I am so glad that everybody came to their senses, and I wholly support this thing from the get-go. And even Cindy, to your colleague, Mike Wasserman, who said, hey, I'm not voting for a tax, and yet he came through and whatever magic you had to convince him to vote yes, God bless you. Or here's a guy that says no on taxes, and he voted for this particular grade. So kudos for that extra effort to get Mike to jump on board. Let's vote.
Mayor Liccardo. Sam, you just muted yourself.
Sorry about that. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to thank many folks who have been strong supporters of Caltrain who spoke today, and thank you for your continued advocacy. I really want to thank an awful lot of folks who worked hard to get this to this point, beginning with our chair, who I can tell you if you're stuck in a foxhole and you need to negotiate your way out of it, Cindy Chavez is a good person to have in that foxhole. She was very, very effective, I think, in bringing parties together. I appreciate that. Jeannie Bruins, thank you for your nudging, and including a nudge I think I got on last Friday that continued to spur us into action to try to bring this whole thing to a conclusion. And Carl Gardino, I know, spent a lot of time on those calls. You know, speaking of Carl and Jason Baker, Jason's going to be, I guess, leading this effort with the leadership group, which means he's committed many sleepless nights and a lot of weekends over the next 3 months to this effort. And I want to thank Jason in advance and thank Carl for all that he's done. You know, we heard from several speakers talking about the Silicon Valley Leadership Group and what role they have in transit. And we should be pretty clear about the fact that all these measures have to pass, can only pass rather, if there is someone leading the way. And that requires a lot of heavy lifting. It requires fundraising, it requires campaigning, it requires messaging, and it requires an enormous amount of work and organizing. And for more than 2 decades, that's been Carl Guardino leading the way. For those who express various opinions about the leadership group and what influence they might have on outcomes, I can assure you that the influence they've had in Santa Clara County is passing 4 measures just in the last 2 decades that have been critically important for funding many transit systems, including Caltrain, and I'm grateful for all of that work. And Jason, we look forward to supporting you in your efforts going forward. I also want to thank a couple supervisors in other counties who really had to step up in a big way and overcome an awful lot of contrary voices in their own communities, and that's Shimon Walton in San Francisco and Dave Pine in San Mateo County. Those are I really appreciate the fact that they stayed at the table and they came together at a critical moment. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Sam. I'm going to go to Larry and then Raul.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. There's very little left to be said, but I want to put a South County voice in here. Caltrain is the most important transportation option for people coming out of South County and getting to those job-rich areas that were mentioned earlier. So I want to thank my colleagues for the support of this and for the rest of the transit agencies and the other and 3 counties that have all supported this as well, and moving forward and saving Caltrain. It's a difficult time to ask anyone to pay a tax, and it would be difficult to ask that at the ballot, but it's the right thing to do. Caltrain needs to be saved now, and we need to be trying to look to the future of how we're going to implement the business plan and provide the service that our residents really need. Again, coming out of South County, it is our most important option, and we need to make sure that it maintains that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Raul?
Yeah, I'm sorry, and I'm just jumping on the bandwagon here. I happen to be aware of a lot of the work that yourself, Chair, that you put in, that Mayor Liccardo put in, and Jeannie Bruins. And so I just want to echo the thanks. This took a lot of leadership to be able to get to something that all agencies could get on board with. So just echoing the thanks here.
Thank you, Raul. I don't see any other comments. So Jeannie?
Yeah, I wasn't going to say anything, but you know, Sam, I want to personally reach out to you and say thank you. You took my call on Friday. You didn't tell me, like so many others, to throw in the towel. Instead, you grabbed the banner and you made some magic happen. That does not diminish from everybody else's contribution. But if you had not told me it was time to stand down, we would not be here where we are today. And I really owe you a debt of gratitude. It was something that I wasn't willing to throw in the towel on. So thank you.
Thank you. I just want to make a few kind of broad comments. And one is, I wanted to say that today at our Caltrain board meeting that went on and on and on, we discussed very deeply a resolution that that really lays the groundwork for governance. And the reason I'm sharing that with my colleagues here is that for those of you who've been on the board a long time, you know that one of the things that we spend an awful lot of time thinking and talking about are our external partners. And one of them is Caltrain. And it's not really external because we're a party to it. But, you know, for years, I think there have been a number of people who've been concerned, as have I, about what governance looks like and how that asset is managed. I became particularly concerned about it, to be frank with you, when we were looking at the tax, because of the 106 million that is expected every year, 56 million will come from Santa Clara County. And so I had concerns that we wanted to make sure long into the future that people didn't look back at us and think we were ninnies for not paying attention to the fine detail around governance. I wanted to just say the thing that's amazing to me about Caltrain is that it is the first time since I've been in public office I've ever had so many people ask me to tax them. And it is because people understand the importance of Caltrain. It's because they love Caltrain. It's because it has 18 million rides a year. It's because if we didn't have it, 101 would never move. It's because if we didn't have it, and now that it's going to be electrified, it's going to have a huge impact on the environment. I mean, there are a lot of really good things about Caltrain, including that San Mateo County has been its guardian for a very long time, and has done a very good job in Samtrans in playing a leadership role in the operation of Caltrain. But the passing of that resolution today on an 8-1 vote was very meaningful to me, because it told me that we were going to be laying the groundwork for a winning campaign and also governance. I really want to say how much I appreciate Supervisors Aaron Peskin and Shaman Walton, and Shaman in particular, for really understanding the importance of not just the asset, but what this looks like in the future. I also wanted to just acknowledge Steve Heminger, who I think took phone calls from all of us because he's like the godfather of transit. We all sort of stalked him to get his ideas. I really, really want to thank both Dave and Shaman for a different reason, which is that, you know, really coming out of and thinking regionally at a time when it would have been easy just to think locally. And to Mayor Liccardo, you know, I think that, and I want to just say this because I think it's true. I think Jeannie's point is really accurate, Sam, that you jumping back in and really reaching back out to everybody to try one last time was so powerful. And, you know, we really wouldn't be here if you had not done that. And I just want to say thank you. That it was just an act of leadership that could feel so futile. You didn't, you know, I know at times it felt a little Don Quixote, you know, but you did it anyway. And I just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
You bet. I also want to just acknowledge the leadership group, and in particular, Carl. I think, Jason, I'm looking forward to working with you. But Carl is on a new venture, and he's still committed to work on this campaign. And again, while they were agnostic on governance, they were not agnostic on us working together. They really played a key role in keeping everyone at the table. And then lastly, I just wanted to acknowledge the staffs of all of our transit agencies that were involved here. And you all did a really good job of helping us think critically and strategically. I am really enthusiastic about this vote, and I'm excited to say, let's call the roll.
All right, this is for item 7.2. Carr?
Yes.
Thank you. Carrasco?
Aye.
Cortese? I'll come back to Board Member Cortese. Dieppe?
Aye.
Jones?
Aye.
Liccardo?
Aye.
McAllister?
Absolutely, yes.
Nunez?
Yes.
Peralez? I'll come back to Board Member Peralez. Rennie?
Yes.
Hendricks?
Enthusiastic, yes.
Chavez?
Yes.
I'll come back to Board Member Cortese. Okay, I'll mark him as absent for the vote. And Board Member Peralez.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we got you.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So I think that I wanted to go into wild applause, but I know we have more of an agenda to still get to. With that, we're going to move to item 7.3. And this is Bart Silicon Valley Phase 2 Extension Project Right-of-Way Delegation of Authority. And the staff's going to make a brief presentation on this item.
Great. Thank you, Madam Chair. Ron Golan, Director of Real Estate and Transit-Oriented Development. This item is for the board to authorize staff to provide delegation of authority to the general manager to expedite the acquisition of real estate for the Bart Phase 2 extension. This action you have before you is something that VTA has done previously in a number of instances. Just to cite a couple of examples, we did this for 2016 Measure B highway projects to facilitate a broad range of highway projects that we're working on. We did this for EBRC, and we also did this for Bart Phase 1. Just to provide a little bit of context, we have about 80 property acquisitions to complete for Bart Phase 2, and we have to do it over a couple-year time period. With the board's monthly meeting schedule, without some sort of delegation, we expect that there will be significant delays in real estate acquisition that would impact project cost and project schedule. I'd be happy to provide more details about the acquisition process, but I think I'll stop there, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Do we have one public speaker, then we'll go to the board for questions or comments or an action. Tessa?
Okay, thank you so much. Did I do it? Let me see. Did I unmute? Oh yeah,
Yes,
there. Can you hear me?
There you go.
Okay,
We
good.
can.
Thank you. Okay, good. Well, I was just, you're looking at the leadership and the way Bart is going to be handled by VTA. And as a community member, we've had trouble with the whole operation of Bart, the way that it's being handled. And the fact that there's these two agencies makes it very difficult. And the issue of fact that even the meetings, I mean, during the time when we used to have to go to meetings, they would be up in Oakland, the Bart meetings, that's really a problem. And so there are problems with VTA and Bart working together on this project. Even the issues of safety, how that was such a big problem that we're not even getting a safe system because of the issues with Bart and VTA. So again, it's about reducing the overhead of what we're spending on Bart. It's too much. We need to stop Bart to Santa Clara.
Thank you. I'm now going to go to the board to see if there are any questions or if we have a motion. John?
Yeah, a question, Ron. Are most of the acquisitions east of Darion, or what side of Darion are most of those acquisitions?
Most of them are to the east. I don't know if you're looking for more detail on either side, but most of them are to the east.
No, well, the question is, we've had people talk about, again, in the circumstances of our sales tax and so forth, the cost of going from Darion to Santa Clara, how that would be if, there's
I'll set aside the engineering discussion. I will just tell you with regards to real estate, VT already owns the 40 acres at the Newhall Yard, which is where the Bart tracks will be located, as well as the Santa Clara station. So we own that. To get from that station to Darion, most of that right of way is along Stockton Avenue and Santa Clara Street. So we are able to build a project in public right of way without any real estate acquisition. There are some parcels, and I would have to follow up later to give you the exact number, but where the tunnel makes turns and goes under private property, there are some tunnel easements that we would need to acquire to get to Darion.
Okay, thank you.
Rob?
Thank you, Chair. I wanted to thank staff for bringing this forward. I'm in favor of things that make the process more efficient and move them along. And this looks like a clear no-brainer to me of a way to move the process forward. If we had to bring, each acquisition back to the board, it puts a lot of delay in there. So I appreciate staff thinking through ways to try to make things more efficient. And I obviously am in favor of this item.
Thank you. Glenn?
I'm ready to make a motion if you're ready.
We are. Go ahead.
Yeah, I move that we authorize the general manager to have the authority for the right-of-way delegation of authority as it relates to BART Phase 2 and the different specific points that are outlined in the staff report.
Second by Rob.
Thank you, Rob. And this would be items 1 through 3 on item 7.3. Thank you very much.
That is correct. And if I could, Ms. Chair,
Sure.
Since it's been seconded, you know, there was an earlier comment and some questions were being asked about how do we accelerate BART? How do we go ahead and try and keep costs down and things like that? And I believe letting the general manager have authority, as we've done in previous projects, allow things to operate more smoothly, which has the potential for keeping the costs down or reducing them, as opposed to if we don't do this, I think it's just going to go ahead and increase the costs as it relates to this project. So I hope my colleagues would vote for it.
Thank you. So we have a motion and a second. May I ask for a roll call vote?
This is for item 7.3. Carr,
Yes.
Carrasco,
Aye.
Cortese, Dieppe,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Liccardo,
Aye.
McAllister,
Yes.
Nunez,
Aye.
Peralez,
Aye.
Rennie,
Aye.
Hendricks,
Yes.
Chavez.
Yes.
I'm going to come back to Board Member Cortese. Okay, I'll mark him as absent for the vote. Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Just as a reminder, and I also want to thank the staff for the work. This is a really good body of work and a good direction. Thank you for that. 8.1 is a general manager's report, and I'm going to turn to Nuria because 7.4 was on consent. Sorry about that.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and good evening to all of you. I want to begin my report by recognizing the milestone of a landmark legislation that was the first step towards opening the doors to equal access, mobility, and opportunity for many disabled people. On July 26, we celebrated the 30th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. And as transportation leaders, we really have an obligation to create the ability for all to be mobile, to communicate the information, connect them, and make it clear and understood. That is paving more paths to make our systems accessible. So I just wanted to say happy anniversary, ADA. Now, on to my report. In the following minutes, I want to provide you with an update on our efforts to keep our employees and riding public safe through several COVID initiatives. I also want to share with you all very quickly some deliverables that the MTC Blue Ribbon Task Force has been working on, and celebrate the accomplishments of several of our employees, and finally share the time-lapse video on the recent Montague Pedestrian Bridge installation. And then I'm going to ask my Chief of Equity, I guess, Diversity and Inclusion, Jay, Bailey, to speak to us about our efforts on racial equity. So last month, we released the Return to Work Playbook. I believe I sent hard copies to all of you. I hope that you had a chance to look at it. And what it does, it kind of outlines the procedures that we have put in place to ensure that all of our employees feel safe as they return to the workplace. The new protocols cover everything that as a guide to personal health etiquette, including we now wave, we don't shake hands, everyone wears masks in the common areas. We have all of our safe distancing practices that we're applying with taped areas and conference rooms with spaced out seating. We sent this document to all VTA employees and our contractors, and we did it through the DocuSign because we wanted to account for the employees and the contractors reviewing it, and also requested that they sign. Thus far, we've had a great response from an employee base. The majority of them have signed it, and those that did not have access to an electronic media have been provided with a hard copy. We also shared this document with the American Public Transportation Association as a best practice. So let me just share very quickly another thing that we did. We created a site within our internal intranet for employees, and a site that would hold us accountable by sharing information as to how many employees have actually taken the test. And I have to say that it was something that was requested of us very early on. For several months, we worked closely with the county and others to make testing available for all essential workers, and particularly those who were asymptomatic. To date, we had 14 of our employees tested positive, 8 of which have returned to work. We followed the Families First Coronavirus Act, which provides up to 80 hours of paid sick leave for COVID-related reasons. And employees who test positive can avail themselves of those hours. And if they have exhausted those hours, they can use their own sick or vacation time until it's safe to return. I want to move on now to the 10-point plan. You've seen this. We have it posted everywhere. This 10-point plan is based on strengthening trust in transit. So where we have outlined everything that we're doing to build that trust and asking the riding community to commit to doing their part so that everyone who's on that train or on that bus is doing so and following safe practices. The 10-point plan covers everything from cleaning all the way to enhancing community partnerships so that together we can continue getting feedback and improving, enhancing, and retooling our practices. But nothing speaks louder than a picture. And I want to show you this dashboard that we created. The dashboard is really what it does. It demonstrates every single personal protective equipment that we have procured and who gets assigned those various pieces of equipment. And as you see, we have check marks after everything because we've made them available to not only all of our employees, but we have now started installing the hand sanitizers on all of our buses and our rail cars, and we will have those on the station. It's a slow rollout. We're having some challenges with getting the large provisions that are necessary, but given the mandate that we received from our public health officer, that is one of the things that we have been ordered to do. It's a new day, and we are going to continue working together at not only within VTA and with our employees, but also with the public and with the public health officers so that we can be at the forefront when it comes to providing a safe ride. I want to cede about a minute of my time to Jay Tyree so that he can give us a quick update on what's happening with the 2021 Transit Service Plan, which will be coming to you all with more detail. Jay?
Okay, thank you, Nuria. So I'll just take 1 minute to give you a preview of what's to come over the last half of this year. There'll be a lot going on. First, you're all aware that since COVID in mid-March, we've been running a more lean network and have been adjusting service to demand as travel patterns evolve. We're currently running about 61% of normal service, and on Monday, we'll be increasing that substantially to about 74% of normal service. And that level of service will run through the end of the year. So we're also gearing up for the 2021 service plan. Of course, that network will have to incorporate a number of COVID factors like lower sales tax revenues and changes in travel patterns and demand. So our staff is developing 3 scenarios or transit networks, each offering a different total service level, and we'll take them out to the community to gather feedback starting in September. For the board, we will hold a board workshop on September 18th to go through all the details of each of the network scenarios and get the board's input and feedback. Following that outreach period, we'll revise into a final plan. So you can expect to see the final plan of the committees in November and board adoption of the 2021 service plan in December. So that's what's coming up through the end of the year. Thanks, Nuria.
Thank you very much, Jay. So now I want to pivot over to 3 items from the MTC Blue Ribbon Task Force that I want to cover with you tonight. First is the second tranche of the funding that we recently received. Talk a little bit about the Healthy Transit Safety Plan, and then I'll touch upon the Transit Coordination and Recovery Plan. As you all know, we have, as part of the CARES Act, we were scheduled to receive an allocation that was then broken down into 2 tranches. We received our first tranche over a month ago, and the second tranche was approved by the MTC Commission on just last week. for $68 million. So with that second tranche, our total allocation under the CARES Act through this emergency relief for public transit is $141 million. And we putting that to good use. We are going through PPEs just to make sure that every single operator and maintenance personnel, together with those who are interacting and interfacing with the public. And we continue to provide service, even though our ridership has decreased significantly, commensurate with the ridership of all transit systems in our region. On the health and the Healthy Transit Plan, the next slide, the Bay Area Transit Agencies prepared and presented an initial Healthy Transit Plan because we needed to come up with a common health and safety commitment to transit passengers. We operate in a region that has transit services that are interconnected. So there's a broad network, but it's a connected network. And different counties were doing different things at different times. And in order to create that commonality so that the rider, it was seamless and to the rider as to which county they were in and where they were transferring and what they needed to wear or not wear, this Healthy Transit Safety Plan does that for us. It brings together all of our best practices and puts us in a position to commit. In addition, the general managers of the Bay Area were drafting a resolution endorsing the Bay Area Healthy Transit Plan as a baseline set of measures that each agency will implement to ensure the health of transit riders and workers during the COVID pandemic. The next slide talks about transit and safety. Safety is our number one priority. And as with each of the regional transit operators, everything we do begins and ends with safety for our customers and safety for our employees. I talked a little bit about the need to have better coordination, given that we have multi-county public transit trips and different county health officers with different orders. So that what this plan does, it kind of brings all of that together. And as we develop this health and safety plan, the consensus that we're all reaching with these commonalities is going to help us not only build a stronger message, but build a unified message that as we communicate with our passengers and our customers. I want to now move to the transit recovery. One of the things that we wanted to do was highlight what our existing network looks like. And the map that's before you is going to serve multiple purposes. One, every single line on that map has a color, and that color reflects the frequency of the service, whether it's a rail or bus. The frequency of service is highlighted by colors. And then what's also important is that the routes have been overlaid onto the regional map that shows where the low income communities are. So as you may see from this map, the pink or magenta is frequency of service 10 minutes or better. And there's a lot of that frequency over the, I would call it like a light brown or brownish color. And those are the areas where we have the low income households. So I think we're doing pretty good. The network is in fact a network, and it's a connected network. There are some gaps in our network, and that's going to be the next challenge, is working on how we close those gaps. So now for a bit of exciting news. As some of you may know, over the years, we have participated with the Mineta Transportation Institute and having a number of our employees that have been pursuing the Master's in Transportation Management degree. And this year we had 3 graduates, Patty Bunlu, Manuel Borallo, and Repal Kanda. They all received their master's degrees at the virtual graduation that was held on July 24th. In June. And as in past years, there was always an amazing banquet, celebratory with families and friends. Well, this year we had a really lovely event for our 3 graduates and their families. It was very well socially distanced right here at River Oaks. And I just wanted to share that with you so that as you run into these really amazing individuals, all of whom have been with VTA less than 5 years, but they're doing some terrific things within the various organizations, the various departments that they are in. So congratulations to them. And now I'm going to move on to the Montague pedestrian overcrossing, and I'll be showing you a video very shortly. But just wanted to mention, for those of you who have not had the opportunity to visit the Milpitas BART station, we have a brand new colorful pedestrian bridge that was recently hoisted and now spans Montague Expressway. And that all happened on July 11. We had 2 large cranes, each lifted and rotated a rainbow adorned truss segments into place. And now I'm going to show you the video of this time-lapse video. Thank you. Myself, along with several of my colleagues and our very dedicated staff, were out there bright and early that Saturday morning to see this firsthand. And I understand that the city of Milpitas will be erecting a twin pedestrian bridge further south from that location. So it's really going to put a stamp not only at the BART station, which is a beautiful station, but as a gateway into the city of Milpitas. And now I want to move to a very important subject, and that is racial equity. Many of the transit agencies across the country their boards have engaged with employees to talk about racial equity. And I wanted to use my general manager report to pause and highlight this issue. Promoting diversity and inclusion has been a personal and professional priority for me throughout my career. Today, our nation and our industry are grappling with 2 extraordinary crises, the COVID pandemic and then the systemic racism and inequality. And public transportation really has a unique role and responsibility to serve everyone with humanity and dignity, to provide safe, secure access to opportunities for all, regardless of race, economic standing, physical ability. And never forget that our work is integral to improving lives. Freedom and progress are built on mobility. Our employees practice that American ideal every time they connect riders to what they need, where they need to go, what they love, and what they aspire to achieve. But we can and must do more. So there's a great deal of work that remains to be done by all of us to promote and ensure racial equity. And I want to assure you that at VTA, we've made some significant changes over these past years. I created an Office of Civil Rights as a standalone department that reports directly to me. And that office includes our agency-wide Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee, as well as our Title VI and EEO. And now I'm going to pause and ask Jay Bailey to take over from here and just share with you the next few minutes some amazing initiatives that she and the team have undertaken. Jay?
Thank you, Nuria. Good evening, board members. It's really good to be here with my colleagues, Melissa Cerezo and Walter Hale, to talk to you briefly about our racial equity work at VTA right now. As Nuria said, the first thing that we have to do is acknowledge the context in which we are currently working to fulfill our mission. Immediately on the heels of implementing a major new service plan in December and January, we saw the onset of COVID, and the stark disparities of the impact of that virus were quickly revealed. We then witnessed the murder of George Floyd and the collective raising of voices demanding justice and accountability. The general manager issued a clear and strong statement in the next slide. stating our commitment to our mission and our special responsibility to fulfill that mission in a way that recognizes and works to eradicate the racism that continues to plague our region and the country. In that message, Nuria also went on, next slide, to talk about the equity work that we had already undertaken at VTA, including our diversity and inclusion strategic plan that has equity as a guiding principle in our efforts to develop a workplace and a workforce that reflects the community we serve and to remove the barriers to opportunity at VTA. Also right now at VTA, central to our work in racial equity is our membership in and our commitment to the Government Alliance on Race and Equity. I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Melissa Cerezo, Senior Transportation Planner, who's going to take us briefly through the GARE initiative and what we are specifically doing with that. And then we're going to welcome our colleague, Walter Hale, to talk a little bit about his experience in GARE. Melissa?
Thank you, Jay. In May, a cross-divisional team of VTA employees began engaging in the Government Alliance on Race and Equity Introductory Cohort, a 10-month program comprised of monthly organizational change trainings to advance racial equity in government. GARE is an exponentially growing national network of government agencies at the vanguard of best practices in racial equity in government and beyond. This learning year will provide us with data-driven, proven practices that are replicable within the VTA context to strategically address racial inequities, helping VTA to reimagine what it means to be in service to all. GARE has a systems change theory that's based on 3 key themes to help us visualize our future, and I'll just cover one of them. Normalize, operationalize, and organize. The first term, normalize, this means building our muscle to openly begin discussing race and having a shared understanding of the history, the vocabulary of individual and systemic racism in government work to help us ensure that VTA is in service to all people. Next slide. And as a result of GARE participation, we'll advance several deliverables. A narrative to be clear in how we talk about racial equity in our work. We will also, in the spirit of, quote, knowing your history to know your future, we will understand our involvement in advancing equity or exacerbating inequities in our transportation role. So these foundational steps will lead us toward a racial equity action plan, which will state clear, specific, and comprehensive actions to ensure that racial equity is continuously advanced in our program, policies, and plans. So we're committed to this essential and ongoing journey with you all, especially at this critical time in history. And with that, I'm excited to introduce our team member, Walter Hale, who will share his experience about the GARE program.
Thank you, Melissa. My name is Walter Hale. I am the director of JWI at VTA. I'm also part of the GARE program, and that's what I'd like to talk to you about tonight. In the beginning, it was quite uncomfortable to open up a discussion about racism and inequalities among my peers, and we knew this was going to may be difficult, but the team worked together. We knew it was a sensitive topic, and we worked together and we made it happen. We began to share our personal experiences on racism, discrimination. How young were we when we first recognized it or identified it? How did it make us feel? At this particular moment, we're doing analysis to help us to get to the root cause behind systemic racism that have existed in our laws for hundreds of years, and it became embedded in our minds. And understanding the history of this country in regards to people of color and inequalities in the area of housing, employment, law enforcement, healthcare, and our justice system is quite an eye-opening experience for me. That being that I'm African American, I thought I knew a lot, but there's a lot of history that I'm unaware of, and I'm learning, and I appreciate this program so much. I'd like to believe that we can reach out to our fellow employees and have these discussions and talk about inequalities that's affecting our lives at home and in the workplace, and we can begin to understand what needs to be done and how to approach it. We can't continue to push this under the rug, and we cannot continue to be in denial of the existence of it today. And if we don't open up and begin to talk about race or discrimination, then we'll have no ideas of what the inequities are in today's society. Thank you.
Thank you, Walter. Thank you, Melissa. We also want to thank Nuria, the executive team, and the board for the support to do this work. It does take a lot of time and it takes a lot of energy, and we appreciate the continued resources that are going towards this. Thank you.
And I just want to thank you, Jay and Melissa and Walter, for staying with us tonight. I think it was very important not only for the board to hear what we were doing, but to hear Walter's personal story. Now, in closing, I just wanted to mention that both the safety and security data and the ridership information has been included in the packet, so I'm not going to be going over that. And Madam Chair, I'll turn the rest of the meeting back to you.
Great. Well, just a couple things that I wanted to say before we go to the public comment on this. First of all, I just wanted to acknowledge and really appreciate the work that's being done for the safety of our drivers. And I think we can't thank enough our frontline employees who are out in the public. We got to remember at every meeting to say thank you, because they're doing the hardest work right now. And we just really, I think we need to acknowledge that. And also, Nuria, I want to say how much I appreciate how earnestly and seriously you took the employees' safety during COVID-19 and just really worked to get us to the place we're at now. And, I appreciate it in particular because I know the shifting landscape that's been under all of our feet as we've been trying to address COVID-19. So thank you very much, Nuria, to you and to your team. And I would say to all of our frontline employees and to the unions and working with us to make everything safer as well. I also just wanted to acknowledge that earlier on our agenda, we had an item that was on consent, and it was a large contract. And I just wanted to acknowledge that as organizations across the country are struggling to meet their goals for women and minority-owned business participation in contracts, that we had one contract that exceeded I think our goal is 20 or 25%, and they're at 80%. And I just wanted to acknowledge that takes leadership. And, Nuria, before you got here, we'd been trying to work on that issue for years. And when I was on the board before, we tried, and leadership really makes a difference. So thank you, Nuria, for all of the work that you're doing. I'm going to go to public comment, and then I'll see if there are any other comments from the board.
Eugene Bradley, please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Evening once again, board members. First off, I want to thank Ms. Fernandez for sending a letter to MTC and the Blue Ribbon Task Force requesting that they change their formula for distributing CARES Phase 2 from basically fare box recovery to something else, something a little bit more equitable, instead of the antiquated formula that they would normally use. Thank you for thinking about us, Nuria. It is deeply appreciated. My question is, I understand that VTA is currently, and please correct me, and someone from staff correct me if I'm wrong, VTA is currently running in the longer term about a $111 million deficit. This is based on everything I read from the prior June. If so, does that deficit also include pension liabilities? Because I understand from the prior budget from about a couple of years ago, VTA currently owes $195 million in unfunded pension liabilities. So if I could get answers to those two questions, that would be great. Thank you.
Tessa, please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to thank Cindy Chavez, I guess, at the county level, to really encourage people to work at home. And I hope that we have more teeth to that. I hope VTA is really implementing that I realize most of your staff is out there in buses and trucks and trains, but a lot of them are at that River Oaks offices and different places. So having people work at home is the best option. So hopefully you're implementing that. And then the change, when Nuria says that we, to give people, a freedom to travel and how important that is. I think we really have to go towards the bicycling and walking as a paradigm. I know that doesn't make as much money. It's no customers because it gives us freedom to get there by ourselves. We need to really work on that, is to realign that Measure B money away from Bart into in creating a world-class bicycle infrastructure and a world-class walkable neighborhoods. That's where it needs to go, and traffic calming.
Mr. Beekman, please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Hi, thank you. Good tech public policy simply has a very good way to work towards equity, equality, and sustainability. To try to clarify my previous words tonight, how can local government and everyday community together address federal mandates of broadband technology and surveillance being placed in their local neighborhood? As these are part of the better tech accountability questions and practices that I thought was a part of why eavesdropper tech was being much more questioned in the past few years. If I write the VTA, I hope someone can explain when Berryessa ShotSpotter tech was on the public agenda, and a good luck to open public policies as the ideas of peace, good democracy, and the long-term positive sustainability. Thank you.
Alita, please go ahead and speak when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair Chavez and members. Alita Dupree for the record, she and her. Lots of good things, lots to say. I got a minute to say it. I appreciate the charts about safer transportation. Contactless payments is very, very important. It's time to get away from paper tickets. So it's very important to involve ourselves deeper with Clipper and the mobile app, of which I use both. Remember that Nuria is on the Clipper executive board. So I think we need to get involved with Clipper Start. I appreciate the people-oriented presentations tonight, because really VTA is all about people. And I have known from the very beginning that I have always had a welcome at VTA. From that very first ride I took, and from meeting many of the staff at VTA, including Nuria at various meetings. So thank you, most of all, the work of our GM, Nuria Fernandez, in helping to make VTA a more welcoming place for all. Thank you.
And that concludes our public speakers.
Great, thanks very much. I'm going to now go to our colleagues. Supervisor Cortese?
Yeah, I hope I'm not out of order. I know I am out of order, but if you at some point can record my I vote on 7.2, I was having some difficulties, left for a few minutes and tried to get back on, and I would appreciate having my I vote recorded. Thank you.
Thank you. Will do. Bob, Vice Mayor?
Yes, if I may. I just wanted to say two things. One is about the pedestrian bridge in Milpitas. I have to say that I'm not really known as somebody that appreciates art. But I take at least 2 trips a day down Montague just to take a look at that bridge. After I listened to the presentation by staff and the architect, and it is exceptional. It is a statement, and I have to thank Nuria and all those that helped at the very last minute to make sure it was more than just a bridge. And so Nuria, for that, I want to say thank you. And really, many of us, well, I'll speak for myself. When times get tough, city councils, different boards pass proclamations and things, and then they put them away someplace and nothing ever happens. And so when I saw the SCARE program today, I applaud you for bringing that forward and doing something with it. I think that speaks volumes about who you are and what you stand for, and why I knew the second time I met you that you were exceptional. The first time I couldn't catch up to you. You were walking too fast. But I'm now going to steal that, change it just a little bit so that I don't get caught with some copyright infringement, and start pressing that in Milpitas. That is exceptional work, and I am very proud to be part of VTA and the work that you're doing. So thank you.
Thank you, Bob. I have no other comments on this item, and there's no vote to be taken. So thanks, everyone. I'm now going to move to item 8.2. That's the chairperson's report. The only thing I wanted to report there is any of you who are interested I'm sorry? See, our staff is doing magical things with our computers. Thank you. So what I wanted to say very briefly is only that if any of you are interested in commute-free work and the work we're doing to get more and more people to out of single occupancy vehicles, we have a committee that is made up of folks from all over the 9 Bay Area counties, and I'm looking for volunteers from the South Bay. I'd like to get 2 more members, and so if any of you are interested, just shoot me an email or a text. I'll be happy to engage and talk to you more about that work. Item 8.3, do any of my colleagues have items of concern and referral to the administration? Seeing none, I'm going to go then to announcements. Do we have any announcements? Seeing none, we do not have closed session, so we are now adjourned. So take the rest of the night off, guys. Great job. And thanks to the staff and everybody, remember, wear your masks, don't touch your face, wipe down surfaces, keep clean hands. Bye.
Thank you, Cindy.